Chapter 2695. The current Master Xian was different. As the black energy spread out, the illusory mountain became solid, and the mountain rumbled as it crashed towards Life Maiden. Lu Yin was curious as to what kind of power Master Xian could display. Life Maiden attacked and stabbed her destiny line into the mountain, but it was stopped. She was shocked. How could this be? She could actually feel the power of a progenitor. You're a progenitor? Master Xian took a step forward and pushed his Lady Ming away. Don't spout nonsense or you'll never know anything about destiny. Lu Yin's voice rang out the moment Life Maiden was pushed away. Life Maiden's emotions were complicated as she could not understand Lu Yin at all. He had been able to break her destiny line without the help of a progenitor, and now he was hiding another progenitor. Where had he gotten all this information from? Regardless of whether she was willing to admit it or not, the current above heaven sect was becoming more and more powerful. Unless Life Maiden wanted to betray the Genesis space, she could not reveal anything about Lu Yin. Butian was much simpler. Lu Yin had sent him away with a single glance, and Xianxia had been dragged away as well. Senior Butian, that little girl's personality is really bad, Xianxia whispered to Butian. Butian hurriedly told him to keep quiet. Life Maiden heard this and stared at Xianxia. Where's the Book of Destiny? Xianxia was about to speak when Butian covered his mouth. It's with the Pathmaster. Life Maiden's eyes narrowed. At this moment, Zhao Ran arrived and excitedly brewed a few cups of tea for someone. Xianxia looked at Zhao Ran and was bewildered. His eyes widened as he followed her. Life Maiden frowned. Who's that mushroom head? Butian smiled bitterly. I really don't know, but his talent in cultivating destiny is extraordinary. Life Maiden looked away and towards the back of the mountain. She wanted to know what the Starsabil sect was planning. Lu Yin clasped his hands behind his back. At this point there's no need to beat around the bush. Tell me what's going on with the Starsabil sect. Why is Mr. Zhu pretending to be dead? Who's behind the massacre at the Astral Combat Academy? What's the deal with the beads? How much do you know about destiny? Mr. Zhu sighed. From the moment you found me, I was destined to tell you the answer. Actually, I'm the bead. Lu Yin was not surprised as he had already guessed it. There are 13 pearls of destiny and you are one of them? Mr. Zhu nodded. Starsabil is my host. Lu Yin looked at Starsabil but she remained calm. The Starsabil sect was founded by Mr. Zhu in order to select Starsabil as its host. We've long known of fate's existence and it's not just a legend. Fate will return, Mr. Zhu suddenly said. Lu Yin's eyes narrowed. Will fate really return? Mr. Zhu took a deep breath. Destiny is not dead or I would not exist. My existence is based on destiny's laws. If destiny is dead then I cannot exist. Lu Yin asked. The symbol ancestor's power is also on the fifth mainland. Are you sure that he's still alive? Mr. Zhu shook his head. It's not the same. The symbol ancestor changed the heavens and the earth, while destiny. He looked at Lu Yin. Steal the heavens and change the earth. What do you mean? Lu Yin didn't understand. Mr. Zhu smiled bitterly. If I knew what it meant, I wouldn't have been found by you. I would have reached the ancestor realm long ago. I don't want to become the pearl of fate and be manipulated by her. I want to become an ancestor, I want freedom, and I want to find those three. Something. A thought flashed through Lu Yin's mind. The three things that Undying Yushan is looking for? Mr. Zhu replied. To be precise, the demonic scripture, or rather the three things that the netherworld ancestor is looking for. A sword, a pearl, and a tree branch. Lu Yin's eyes twinkled as he recalled Undying Yushan's dying words. The demonic scripture had controlled him to search for three things, and those three things were very likely to be on Earth. That's why you've been staying in the solar system. Why are you looking for those three things? What do those three things mean? Lu Yin knew that Earth was extraordinary. Jiang Qin had always appeared on Earth and could freely travel through parallel spacetime, which was very unusual. Mr. Zhu was vexed. I don't know what those three things mean either. The demonic scripture is searching according to the will of the netherworld ancestor, but I'm searching according to destiny's will. We don't want to search for them, but we have to. Those three things are definitely not ordinary. I'm certain that as long as I can find them, I'll transform and no longer be a pearl that destiny plays with. Undying Yushan gave me the direction, but why can't I find them? Lu Yin frowned. In Earth's parallel spacetime? That's the only explanation, Starsabil said. If they weren't in a parallel spacetime, Undying Yushan would have found them long ago. Mr. Zhu replied, those three things are unique and they can't be found in every parallel spacetime. However, it's destined that we won't be able to find them. Lu Yin looked into the distance. If they were in Earth's parallel spacetime, then that should be where Jiang Chen was. It wasn't that they couldn't find them, but that they had to rely on luck. No one knew when Jiang Chen would return. The Starsabil sect was the greatest secret of this era. Before Lu Yin had undergone the Grim Reaper transformation, the Grim Reaper and Destiny were just legends that could not be confirmed or acknowledged. No one had even mentioned them. However, the Starsabil sect had always known about the existence of Destiny, and they even knew that Destiny would eventually return. Mr. Zhu hadn't done anything wrong, and it was normal for him to think for himself. However, now that he had been found, he could no longer be free. A pearl was still a pearl. If an ordinary person knew about the existence of Destiny and that he was just a part of a story that had been arranged, would he resist? Perhaps not, but if the ending of this story was not what he wanted, would he still resist? The answer was definitely yes. To Mr. Zhu, Destiny would eventually return, and his ending was to become a pearl that was worn on Destiny's wrist. He could not accept such an ending, so he wanted to resist. He had pried into Destiny's cultivation method and used his connection to Destiny to search for the three items. He wanted to rewrite Destiny and break through to the progenitor realm. He wanted to even suppress Destiny and control his own life. Unfortunately, he had failed in the end. Looking at the 10 pearls in his hand, Lu Yin did not know what to do. Wearing them on his wrist made him panic. After all, Mr. Zhu was also one of them, and he was an independent existence. Would the other 9 pearls also be independent existences? Wearing them on his wrist was like having 10 independent existences staring at him at all times. Just thinking about it made him panic. More importantly, these pearls were too obvious. Once Destiny returned, he would be the first to be found. Lu Yin did not know what to do if he did not wear them. Tell me what to do with these pearls, Lu Yin asked as he stared at the pearls in his hand in a daze. Starsabil was very calm. I don't know. If I did, I wouldn't be the host. Lu Yin looked at her. You don't want to be the host? Starsabil was bitter. To Mr. Zhu, Destiny is an enemy that competes with him for time. It's the same for me. Everything I do is based on Mr. Zhu. Including when you divine me back then? Lu Yin asked. Starsabil looked at Lu Yin and said, Mr. Zhu divined that humanity would face a great calamity in the future, and he told me to find someone who could help humanity overcome this calamity. I didn't know how to find that person, and in the vast sea of people I could only screen them through that question. Mr. Zhu told me that the person who could not be divined might be the person who could save humanity from this calamity. That's why I found you. What I said before was not a lie. I really couldn't divine you, so I divined the results of the Tournament of the Strongest. The first point was the results of the Tournament of the Strongest, and the second point was the battle with Night King Zhenwu. Lu Yin interrupted her. You've already told me these things. Tell me something I don't know. Starsabil looked up at the sky. The Fifth Mainland knows too little about the Above Heaven sect, and they don't even understand Destiny. They don't even believe in the existence of Destiny. In my opinion, they aren't enough to help me break free from Mr. Zhu. Starsabil paused and looked at Lu Yin. I need to find someone who can help me break free from Mr. Zhu, even if that person is very weak at the time and has experienced many hardships. I don't care about humanity's calamity, and I don't care about what Mr. Zhu wants. I just want to control my own destiny. Everything that I told you before was true, and I've said everything that needs to be said. The only difference is that my goal is not the so-called calamity but myself. I need you to help me break free from Mr. Zhu. Lu Yin frowned. That's all? That's all. Starsabil was magnanimous as she looked at Lu Yin. Lu Yin stared into her eyes, but he could not see anything. This woman seemed to have told him everything, but Lu Yin could no longer trust her. He did not know what else Starsabil could hide, and with the gap between them, there was no point in hiding anything. In any case, he no longer trusted this woman, so he found the Fate daughter. She's yours. Starsabil's expression changed. I can't go with her. The Fate daughter's gaze was cold. Since when did you get to choose? Starsabil stared at Lu Yin. I've broken free from Mr. Zhu and I can't be controlled by the Fate daughter anymore. Lu Yin ignored her and looked at the Fate daughter instead. I don't care how much you hate her. I still have use for her and I don't want her to change too much the next time we meet. The Fate daughter raised a brow but she did not refute. Ever since she had arrived in this era she had gradually become more restrained. She had once been a genius who had dared to kill Lu Bujing during the Above Heaven sect era, but now she did not dare to go against Lu Yin's words. She could only sullenly accept Lu Yin's reprimands, and this anger was destined to be vented on Star Sibyl. Who's that mushroom head? The Fate daughter asked. Lu Yin was puzzled. Where's Little Shi? Skymender answered. He chased after Zhao Ran. Zhao. Lu Yin was flabbergasted. Why was Little Shi chasing after Zhao Ran? As he thought about it, his domain spread out and he quickly found Zhao Ran and Little Shi. At this moment, Little Shi was circling around Zhao Ran and constantly talking about something. He seemed to be rather excited and happy, but Zhao Ran had a blank expression on her face. She did not even notice that the tea she had poured had spilled out, and she just stared blankly at Little Shi. Lu Yin took a step forward and appeared beside the two. Skymender and the Fate daughter also followed him. Chapter 2696. You really don't remember me? It's me. Xiao Shi circled around Zhao Ran, looking happy and disappointed at the same time, almost dancing with joy. Zhao Ran licked her lips. I forgot. Sorry, I'm out of stock. Xiao Shi patted her mushroom head. What about this? You said it was cute? Zhao Ran's eyes lit up. It is. Right? Xiao Shi was happy. When Zhao Ran saw Lu Yin and the others arrive, she cheered, Your Highness, you're back. I spilled the flower tea. I'm sorry, I'll make some more. Lu Yin asked, Zhao Ran, do you know him? Zhao Ran looked at Xiao Shi and then at Lu Yin before shaking her head. No, but he's really cute. Lu Yin looked at Xiao Shi. Xiao Shi was depressed. Brother Lu, she should know me. She's the first person besides Xiao Qi to say that my mushroom head is cute. She even gave me a present. Zhao Ran apologized. I'm sorry, my mushroom head is really cute, but I forgot. I'm sorry, I'm out of stock. Xiao Shi hurriedly apologized. I'm sorry, you're not out of stock. You're my friend. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm out of stock. I'm sorry, you're my friend. Look, mushroom head. Ah, it's so cute. Right, who are you? It's our first time meeting, I'll make you some tea. Lu Yin was speechless, it was starting again. Xiao Shi blinked, somewhat at a loss. Butian looked at Lu Yin and then at Zhao Ran. He had always felt that this maid was strange. Forget it, Xiao Shi, she doesn't remember you, Lu Yin said. He then showed Zhao Ran something hanging in front of his chest that contained her memories. Zhao Ran quickly remembered and then apologized to Xiao Shi. I'm sorry, I'm out of stock. I don't remember. Your mushroom head is really cute. Xiao Shi couldn't answer and was disappointed. You really don't remember? I'm sorry. Forget it, no matter what, you're still my friend. I'll take good care of your present. Xiao Shi then took out a bead from her cosmic ring. When they saw the bead, Lu Yin was stunned. Destiny, Butian, and even Star Sibyl were stunned. A bead? An identical bead? What? Another bead? Never in their wildest dreams would they have thought that another bead would appear out of nowhere. Xiao Shi waved the bead in front of Zhao Ran. Do you still remember? This is your gift to me. Zhao Ran blinked blankly. Lu Yin accepted the pearl and took out another 10, all of them identical. They were one of Destiny's 13 pearls. He looked at Xiao Shi and asked in surprise, Zhao Ran gave you this pearl? Little Shi nodded blankly. That's right. When? Lu Yin hurriedly asked. Xiao Shi thought for a moment. It's been many years. Right, when I was very, very young, when I just started to remember things. How long has it been since you obtained the bead and found the big book? Butianwen. Xiao Shi calculated. It's been many years. Lu Yin looked at the bead in his hand and then at Zhao Ran in a daze. Zhao Ran still had a blank look on her face as if she couldn't remember anything. Your Highness, would you like some tea? I understand now. This child was able to read the Book of Destiny because he was wearing this pearl. Although he didn't train in Destiny, the pearl itself belonged to the Book of Destiny. As for fate, the wearer will definitely be tainted by fate's aura. Over time, one will naturally be able to see it, Butian answered. Lu Yin understood as well and relaxed. Xiao Shi wasn't Destiny, but why had Zhao Ran given him this pearl? Where had Zhao Ran gotten this pearl from? Life's daughter stepped forward and stared at Zhao Ran as if trying to see through her. Zhao Ran and Life's daughter looked at each other in confusion. Would you like some tea? Why do you have this pearl? Life's daughter asked. Zhao Ran looked at the pearl in Lu Yin's hand. I don't have it. You gave it to this kid, Life's daughter continued. Zhao Ran blinked. Is that so? I don't know him. Sorry, I'm out of stock. Life's daughter raised a brow. Bu Tianwen was helpless. She forgets things and doesn't remember what happened. Lu Yin waved his hand. Zhao Ran, go make some tea. Zhao Ran nodded and quickly ran off. She didn't like Life's daughter and her gaze was uncomfortable, but it was fine as long as she drank her tea. Life's daughter looked at Lu Yin. Are you sure she really forgot? She's not faking it? Lu Yin replied, I met her when I first stepped into the cultivation world. She had been like this since then and it's been a few decades now. Life's daughter turned around and looked in the direction that Zhao Ran had left. You said that destiny gave this pearl to a child. What's the situation with that child? Lu Yin asked. Life's daughter replied, I told you I've never seen that child. Is it a boy or a girl? I don't know. Do you suspect it's her? Impossible, how could she have lived from Master's era until now? Life's daughter asked. Lu Yin looked in Zhao Ran's direction. Impossible? He would never forget that Zhao Ran had once been with the desolate ancestor. The desolate ancestor had even said that he wasn't the person that Zhao Ran was waiting for. Zhao Ran had lived for a very long time, so how long had she lived before meeting the desolate ancestor? Lu Yin thought back to everything related to Zhao Ran. She was always able to find Xianxia and force him to scold her. She was naive and only liked to study flower tea as if everything had nothing to do with her. Who is she? She couldn't be Destiny, could she? Brother Lu might take my pearl, Xiaoxia said shyly. Lu Yin was serious. Give it to me as a gift. Xiaoxia was stunned. Huh. Lu Yin smiled. Can I? Xiaoxia didn't want to give it to him. That's the gift she gave me. I wanted to borrow money from you but you didn't, Lu Yin said. Xiaoxia pursed his lips. You said I didn't have enough money. In the end you didn't lend it to me, Lu Yin repeated. Xiaoxia looked at the pearl reluctantly and gritted his teeth. Then I'll give it to you. Thank you. Lu Yin smiled. He felt like he was stealing a child's gift. Don't worry, I'll get someone to promote Mushroom Head and fulfill your lifelong wish. Do you want me to find you an ambassador? That he ran isn't bad, you can talk to her yourself. She's with the cauldron. Xiaoxia became excited at the mention of promoting Mushroom Head. Really? Lu Yin nodded. Countless people in the above heaven sect like he ran. As long as she's willing to be your ambassador, the entire universe will accept her. I'll go find her now. Xiaoxia ran off to find he ran. Lu Yin looked forward to it. He put the beads away and now that he had 11 he decided to put them away. He would find an opportunity to store them in Mount Supreme in the future. Fate Lady took Starsabil and left the above heaven sect. Lu Yin didn't care how Starsabil was treated. He had already warned her so she wouldn't go overboard. He felt like Starsabil had left something unsaid. As for Bu Tian, Lu Yin still had him stay behind to teach Xiaoxia. Even though he had taken away the pearl, Xiaoxia's cultivation of destiny was already on the right track. It would be a pity if he didn't continue. As for Zhao Ran, she was just like before. He didn't know how to treat her for the time being, so it was better for her to be a maid. The main thing was that he couldn't find an opportunity to change. Perhaps one day she would recover her memories. Not long after, Lu Yin saw Xiaoxia find he ran through his domain. Not long after, he saw he ran lose her composure and saw many people trying to curry favor with her while cursing Xiaoxia. Xiaoxia was so frightened that he scrambled away. However, he didn't give up and continued to stare at he ran with a determined gaze. Although promoting Mushroom Head was difficult, he had to succeed. He ran looked as if she had eaten a dead fly. Lu Yin could temporarily wait for the Six Paths Society. With such a huge incident in hyperspace, he wouldn't be able to do much even if he went. He might even attract the attention of important people, especially the Dimensional Guardian. Lu Yin didn't want to be exposed. He thought about it for a while and suddenly thought of a possibility. Destiny had given one of the pearls to forefather Tianyi. If the pearl was still in the hands of the Lu family, could he use it to divine the location of the Lu family? Although Xiaxinji's clone could help Lu Yin locate the Lu family, this person was still Xiaxinji's clone. Lu Yin felt uneasy, and it would be best if there was another way to locate the Lu family. Lu Yin hurriedly contacted the Lady of Fate to inquire about the possibility. The Lady of Fate's answer was affirmative. As long as the pearl is in the hands of the Lu family, the more pearls you have, the more likely you will be able to locate the Lu family through destiny. That is, of course, if the Lu family is still around. Lu Yin's breathing quickened. After so many years, he finally had a way to locate the Lu family outside of Xiaxinji's clone. His greatest wish was to lure Lu Yin back. Now he had 11 pearls and he knew that Astral 3's stargazing deck had drifted to the 6th mainland. It seemed that he would have to make a trip there. Only by gathering all 12 pearls would he have the greatest chance of locating the whereabouts of the 13th pearl. That pearl might very well be the location of the Lu family. Lu Yin knew quite a bit about the 6th mainland. After all, he had used his Dai's 6 pips to merge with a 6th mainland cultivator's body, and he had even seen the 6th mainland's Dao source sect. Going to the 6th mainland was not difficult, but it was not easy either. The 6th mainland was not in a parallel spacetime, but rather the same spacetime as the 5th mainland. Otherwise, Lu Yin could just casually find a cultivator from the 6th mainland to tear through the void and head there. He activated the serious art and the human domain was under his control. With a single thought, Lu Yin appeared at the border between the human domain and the technocracy. He wanted to enter the 6th mainland through the Starfall Sea. There were very few corpse kings in the Starfall Sea, and the Eternals had been expelled. Although they could travel down the Mara River, they lacked progenitors. Even if the Eternals came from the 6th mainland to the Starfall Sea, it would be meaningless. Lu Yin, on the other hand, could enter the 6th mainland through the Mara River. Just as he was about to leave, his attention was drawn to the technocracy. The technocracy no longer had a physical consciousness. Although it was still developing, it was much slower than before. In the past, the technocracy had fought against each other. One side had the 6th mainland while the other had the cosmic tree. Both sides had frantically gathered resources to create mechanical ants to deal with the Eternals. Now, the 6th mainland had been occupied by the Eternals, and the cosmic tree knew the truth about the technocracy. Of course, they had no resources and the technocracy had fallen. Chapter 2697. After arriving in the technocracy, Lu Yin thought of the Hui ancestor, the materialized consciousness, and the dimensional master. What was the connection between them? Previously, he had thought that the materialization of thoughts was the ancestor Hui's talent. Since the dimensional master also had it, and not only did it come from the self-destructed body, the backup body also had it. In that case, it might not be a talent but a type of power. Could the ancestor Hui be related to the dimensional master? Lu Yin casually thought about it and then stepped forward, appearing at the edge of the Starfall Sea. He did not disturb the cultivators stationed here and directly entered the Starfall Sea to find the Mara River. When he looked up, the Mara River was incomparably majestic, as if it had split the 5th mainland into two. He was not unfamiliar with this place, as he had seen the symbol ancestor go against the flow when he had traveled through space-time. He had led the Rune Line civilization into the 6th mainland and brought disaster to the 6th mainland. Today he would go against the flow as well. The void distorted as Lu Yin manipulated the spatial lines, causing his body to instantly vanish. Regardless of whether it was space or the Mara River, everything was clearly visible to him within the spatial lines. He was able to teleport, instantly leaving the Starfall Sea and reaching almost half of the Mara River's height before continuing upwards. Along the way, he saw a corpse king that was at the level of a half-ancestor. He was guarding this place and keeping an eye on the Starfall Sea. Lu Yin did not touch it, as doing so would attract the attention of the Eternals. The boundless river was like a waterfall from the 9 heavens, covering everything in sight. When Lu Yin jumped again, he arrived above the Mara River and saw the endless river in the distance. This was the 6th mainland, a place that the 5th mainland had once hated. The 6th mainland had attacked the 5th mainland from here, and the 6th mainland had fled to the 5th mainland from here as well. The symbol ancestor had once fought to the death here, and progenitor Chen's blood had dyed the heavens red. Lu Yin's figure flashed as he did not know where stargazing deck was. Right now he needed to find the humans. When the 6th mainland had fled, they had taken the cultivators with them to preserve the 6th mainland's seed. There were too many people left and it was impossible to say for sure. It was impossible for all of them to have been transformed into corpse kings, so there was definitely an eternal kingdom here. Lu Yin's guess was correct, and after searching for a while he found the first eternal kingdom. It was located in the Black Blood realm where the Mara River intersected. There was definitely more than one eternal kingdom in a huge region. The purpose of the Eternal Kingdoms was to allow corpse kings and humans to coexist. The Eternals were trying to find a way to coexist, but Lu Yin found it laughable. Sentient beings and emotionless beings could never coexist unless one was absolutely dominant. What the Eternals wanted was absolute dominance. After searching for a while, Lu Yin still couldn't find any clues about stargazing Lu. However, Lu Yin did see some signs of war. Were there still humans in the Sixth Mainland who were fighting against the everlasting race? Hidden in the void, Lu Yin watched the battle between the corpse kings and the humans on the distant continent. Many human cultivators fought to the death, sometimes winning and sometimes being defeated. The Sixth Mainland already belonged to the everlasting race, and there were too many everlasting experts here. Of those who were fighting against the corpse king, the strongest were emissaries. They should have broken through in the past few decades, and any half-martial ancestor corpse king could easily wipe them out. But the war lasted for a long time. It wasn't just this place. There were many other battlefields in the Sixth Mainland as well. These battlefields were the front lines of the humans' resistance against the Eternals, and the humans had even gathered together to build settlements. Looking at this, Lu Yin recalled the hyperspace dimension's description of the drifting cloud space experiments. The Eternals were also giving these people hope. Perhaps it wasn't an experiment. Perhaps it was. He didn't know. These people could have been wiped out in an instant, but the war had dragged on. Perhaps countless years later the people of the colony would think that they had been able to hold off the Eternals. Little did they know that the Eternals could wipe out everything with a single thought. Lu Yin thought of the Fifth Mainland and the Six Direction Society. Would they be in the same situation? A group of frogs at the bottom of a well thinking that they had done well. They thought that there was hope, but was it all because of the Eternals? Lu Yin quickly dispelled this thought as soon as it appeared. It was too pessimistic and terrifying. If that was the case, then what was the point of their existence? Toys? He would rather believe that the humans had truly held off the Eternals and that this was a long and drawn-out war, not an experiment. He couldn't help them in this war. Just as he was about to leave, the void suddenly tore open in a corner of the battlefield and a woman walked out. She wielded a 3-foot-long sword that glowed with a white light that resembled scales. She instantly split the battlefield in two, and wherever she passed the corpse kings were destroyed. Lu Yin looked at the battlefield. This woman's sword had the destructive power of an emissary, and it shouldn't have attracted his attention. But for some reason when she appeared the battlefield and even the heavens changed. It was as if all eyes were focused on her. She was dressed in white and wielded a 3-foot-long sword that tore through the dark battlefield. Her face wasn't as beautiful as Ming Yan, He Ran, or Bai Qian, but she had a strange charm. It was as if her appearance was the center of the universe. This was a feeling that Lu Yin had never experienced before. He had seen too many women in his life. They were beautiful, sexy, enchanting, intelligent, heroic, and so on, but none of them were as eye-catching as this woman. Even Bai Qian and the others couldn't do it. This woman's cultivation wasn't very high and she wasn't the prettiest, but she was still able to attract attention. Strange. White sword light suppressed the battlefield in the blink of an eye. The giant corpse king punched out, but it was easily torn apart by the woman's sword. No matter how bloody the scene was, it couldn't taint her in the slightest. She was like that white light that would never fade. It's the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie is here. The cultivators on the battlefield shouted frantically. It's the Valkyrie. I've heard of her legends. We've all heard of her. Wherever she goes the corpse kings will retreat. The Valkyrie. The Valkyrie. Countless people shouted excitedly, their voices forming a wave that drowned out the cries of the battlefield. Lu Yin watched quietly. This woman had single-handedly changed the situation of the battlefield. There were clearly powerful corpse kings in the distance, but they didn't attack. Gradually the corpse kings retreated. Just as the legends said, wherever this woman went the corpse kings would retreat. Lu Yin was intrigued, but he didn't leave immediately. He just watched. This woman was very strange. When the battle ended, the woman sheathed her sword and just stood there on the battlefield, breathing in the stench of blood. Her face was silent and expressionless. The cultivators in the distance didn't approach her either. They all watched from afar with a burning passion, excitedly discussing something. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days passed. Finally, on the 4th day, the human cultivators passed by the woman and charged towards the Eternals. The Eternal Kingdom stood tall in the distance and they wanted to take it and rescue the people imprisoned there. The Corpse Kings met the humans head-on and a new battle began. First to act, the woman was the one who killed the Corpse Kings. She had started later than everyone else, but she was the first to reach the front lines and kill the Corpse Kings. Under her leadership, the human cultivators' morale soared as they slaughtered their way towards the Eternal Kingdom. Aside from the Corpse Kings, there were also humans in the Eternal Kingdom. These people had long since surrendered to the Eternals, and the Eternals had changed their minds and made them fight for the Eternals. The Eternals were the most difficult opponents for these people to deal with. It wasn't because of their cultivation but because their hearts were unbearable. Wake up. Those monsters are the enemy. We're the same kind. Someone shouted, but they were met with a fierce attack. Why are you doing this? Stop talking, they won't listen. This is why we destroyed the Eternal Kingdom in the first place. On the battlefield, the bloody slaughter continued. The woman attacked without hesitation, but she only killed the Corpse Kings and avoided the humans in the Eternal Kingdom. The Eternals' Corpse Kings weren't weak, but regardless of whether they were at the same level or stronger, they were all weak in front of the woman. It was so weak that Lu Yin found it strange. It was as if these Corpse Kings didn't resist at all. Lu Yin had experienced countless battles and even with his current strength, the battlefield was always dangerous. There were always stronger opponents waiting for him. However, this woman was too casual and her expression was too calm. It wasn't that she was numb but rather that she was indifferent. The more Lu Yin watched, the stranger he felt. Finally, he realized that the strange thing was that this woman rarely faced the Corpse Kings head-on. Her every attack, every movement, and every attack were all aimed at the Corpse King's weak points. It could be said that she had grasped the enemy's fatal weakness in an instant, and it was as if these Corpse Kings were just there for her to kill. It seemed simple, but it was definitely not easy to completely see through an enemy's weakness on the battlefield. Lu Yin had received the Sword Steel's inheritance and learned how to break through various weapons. Even so, it was difficult for him to instantly find a fatal weakness when fighting against an opponent of the same level. At most, he could break through the opponent's weapon techniques, but he couldn't do it as easily as this woman. To her, the battlefield was like a stroll. Her sword was 3 feet long and there wasn't a single drop of blood on it. This was abnormal. It was as if she had a combat ability that didn't belong to this realm. The humans were getting closer and closer to the Eternal Kingdom, and with this woman here, the Eternal Kingdom was on the verge of collapse. Just as Lu Yin was looking forward to it, the Corpse King overseeing the Eternal Kingdom finally attacked. The half-ancestor level was a qualitative change. As soon as the half-ancestor Corpse King attacked, the woman suddenly stopped and swung her sword horizontally, stopping all of the people who were charging toward the country of eternity. Retreat. No one dared to hesitate and they slowly retreated according to the woman's words. Within the Eternal Kingdom, the Corpse King walked out and stared at the woman with scarlet eyes. It walked forward step by step, leaving behind traces of gold on the ground. This was an innate gift. Everyone stared at the Corpse King in fear. They had fought fiercely with the Eternal Kingdom for a long time, and they had some understanding of the situation inside. However, they didn't know that there was such a powerful Corpse King inside. If this Corpse King had appeared from the beginning, they wouldn't have been able to kill it no matter how many of them there were. Why didn't such a powerful Corpse King attack? All of you must die. The Corpse King spoke in a hoarse voice. As it spoke, it raised its hand and waved it. The sky was dyed in gold and it looked extremely beautiful. However, this beauty was fatal. Chapter 2698. Lu Yin looked at the golden light that covered the sky. This was poison, but it could also be considered a strange energy. In any case, it wasn't something that these people could withstand. The woman's eyes turned cold. She suddenly rushed towards the Corpse King. Her speed was much faster than before. There seemed to be lightning flickering on the surface of her body. She raised her sword and thrust it forward. It was as if she was a floating insect trying to shake a tree. With her cultivation, it was impossible for her to be a match for the Corpse King. The Corpse King could kill her with a casual flick of its finger. The woman clearly wasn't stupid. She wouldn't court death. Many human cultivators looked on expectantly. According to the legends, the Valkyrie was everyone's belief in resisting the Eternals. As long as she was around, the war would not be lost no matter how powerful the Corpse King was. This was the Valkyrie. Many people said that she was the condensation of the Sixth Mainland's will, and that it was the sixth mainland that resisted the Eternals. They had been abandoned by the Daoist sect, but they had not been abandoned by the sixth mainland. In the blink of an eye, the half-martial ancestor corpse king struck out with a palm strike. This palm strike was powerful enough to shatter the void and kill the woman. The sword tip and the corpse king's palm were getting closer and closer. The moment they got closer, a layer of dark purple substance spread out and covered the sword tip. The sword tip pierced through the corpse king's arm without any hindrance, piercing through half of the corpse king's body along his arm. The corpse king roared and reached out his other hand to grab the woman. The woman also raised her hand and covered it with the dark purple substance, clashing with the corpse king. With a bang, the woman was sent flying. Her sword fell off and stabbed into the ground far away. In outer space, Lu Yin was shocked. That was the imperishable Palm Realm, the pinnacle of battle force. How could this girl know it? She must have used battle chi of the Undying Realm. There was no mistaking it. Other than her battle chi cultivation, what else did she have to resist a half-martial ancestor-level corpse king? Where did she learn the battle chi of the Undying Realm? The woman used the dark purple substance to injure the zombie king, but the difference between her and the zombie king was too great. The corpse king was about to attack again when he sensed something. He stopped and returned to Eternal Kingdom. The woman stood up and the purplish-black substance on her body disappeared. She walked to the side of the long sword and pulled it out. In the next moment, countless people cheered. They thought that the woman had beaten back the half-ancestor corpse king. The woman looked at the sword in a daze. It's still not enough. Lu Yin was also looking at the woman, and he was just about to step forward when he suddenly paused. He just stood there in space without moving. On the battlefield, everyone retreated to the gathering place and the woman also retreated. Although no one spoke to her, everyone respected her. They cleared the way for her, prepared food for her and so on. The woman walked calmly, staring at the sword as if she was thinking about something. Eternal Kingdom regained its peace. The heavens were also very quiet, including Lu Yin. His expression was solemn and he did not move at all. Not long after, his eyes turned cold. He stepped through the spatial line and instantly appeared far away. He could actually travel through space. Little guy, you're so powerful. A surprised voice rang out. Lu Yin turned around. Just a moment ago he had sensed an aura approaching him. It was the aura of a progenitor. Aside from a progenitor, no one else could approach him without being detected. He could only blame himself for being careless. He had been too focused on that woman and he had failed to notice her. At that moment he saw a figure shrouded in light. He could not see the person's appearance or what he was wearing. The only thing he could see was the light. It covered the person's figure, but it was not glaring. The light could not even spread out and was not seen by outsiders. At the very least, he was certain that no one in Eternal Kingdom or the distant colony could see the light. It was clearly a light, but no one could see it. Who are you? Lu Yin asked. He had not expected a progenitor to suddenly appear, and this was troublesome. The only things he could use to fight against a progenitor were the Divine Seal Catalog and the slippers. Fortunately, he still had Lian Bao. If this progenitor did not recognize Lian Bao, then Lu Yin could use Lian Bao to escape. That would depend on what level this progenitor was at. I should be the one asking that question. Who are you? I've never seen you in the sixth mainland, the person within the light asked. Lu Yin replied, I came from another parallel universe. No wonder. Are you from the everlasting race? Lu Yin asked. The person within the light laughed. If I was, do you think those people down there would still be alive? Lu Yin replied, yes. What you want is not a massacre but a conquest. Otherwise, where would the Eternal Kingdom come from? Seems like you have a deep understanding of the everlasting race. Fortunately, I can sense your hostility towards them. Lu Yin said, if there's nothing else, then I'll take my leave. Wait, the person within the light said. Lu Yin remained vigilant and prepared to attack at any moment. As for Lian Bao, he had already taken it out. You seem to be very curious about that Valkyrie. Why, don't you want to chat? Lu Yin raised a brow. Do you know her? Why do you think that corpse king retreated? The person within the light asked. Lu Yin understood. You're protecting her. Hee, that's right. Lu Yin was surprised. She's your disciple? More accurately, she's the little mistress, the person within the light replied. Lu Yin's pupils shrank. Little mistress? How is that possible? You're a progenitor. The person within the light continued. It has nothing to do with cultivation. The little mistress is the little mistress. If you're willing, you can chat with her. Lu Yin was puzzled. Why should I? Young men and women who meet each other are interested in each other. Isn't it normal for them to chat? Not interested. Kid, you have to be optimistic and be good at making friends. No need. You have a strange temper. Lu Yin stared at the light. Who are you people? Why don't you go down and chat with the little mistress? I don't have any ill intentions towards you, or else I would have attacked earlier. With your cultivation, you wouldn't be able to stop me and you wouldn't be able to escape either, right? Lu Yin's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. From what this person knew, Lu Yin was not even a half-progenitor and would not be able to escape from him. Thus, this person was not very wary of Lu Yin. However, if Lu Yin forced himself to leave, then the person would be much more vigilant. Lu Yin might as well do as he was told and chat with the girl. He could find out more about her and also take the opportunity to leave. With that in mind, Lu Yin said, "All right, I'll go and chat with her, but you can't follow. That won't do. The little mistress might not be able to defeat you. What if you have evil intentions?" "Don't worry, I won't get too close," the person within the light said. Lu Yin's eyes flickered. He knew that the blackish-purple substance could be used by Hen Xen, Madman Lu, and the Ancient Pathmaster. Who was this girl related to? If she was the Ancient Pathmaster, then her origins were worth pondering. The Ancient Pathmaster was one of the 7 sky gods, and if this girl was related to him, then she should be on the Everlasting Tribe's side. However, she was fighting against the Everlasting Tribe. That half-progenitor corpse king had truly wanted to kill her. Lu Yin was indeed curious about this girl. Soon after, Lu Yin secretly entered the gathering place. The so-called gathering place was just a city that had once been in ruins. The city had been slightly renovated by these people and there were only some basic resources left. The girl was currently in a corner of the gathering place, and because of her existence, many people were stationed there as if they were on a pilgrimage. Lu Yin directly entered the girl's residence without attracting anyone's attention. After he entered, the girl looked up and the two of them exchanged glances. The person within the light had gone in to greet Lu Yin. Otherwise, this girl would not have been so calm when Lu Yin suddenly appeared. "Name," the girl immediately said in a cold voice. Lu Yin did not approach her and instead sat in another corner. "It's not convenient to reveal." The girl did not pursue the matter and instead stared at her sword in a daze. "What about you? Is it convenient for you to reveal it?" Lu Yin asked. The girl was indifferent. "Jiang Qingyue." Lu Yin nodded. "Good name." Jiang Qingyue did not reply and continued to stare at her sword. "I saw you attack, so I'm curious. When you fought with the half-progenitor corpse king, what was that layer of black and purple that covered your sword? Of course, if it's inconvenient, you don't have to say." Jiang Qingyue looked at Lu Yin. "That was only for an instant. You were able to see it clearly. What cultivation level was it?" Lu Yin replied, 6th origin tribulation. Jiang Qingyue looked deeply at Lu Yin. "No wonder the dragon turtle sent you. You are indeed qualified, but I won't consider it for the time being." Lu Yin did not understand. "What do you mean you won't consider it?" "Wait, dragon turtle? You're saying that person is a dragon turtle? What dragon turtle?" The person within the light walked out and stood behind Jiang Qingyue. "Little Yeye, don't reveal my identity in front of outsiders. You have to keep some trump cards hidden." Lu Yin looked at the person within the light. "What dragon turtle? Don't worry about that. What do you think? My little mistress is pretty, right? Think about it and try to woo her. Old mistress is worried about her marriage, but no one is worthy of her. I think you're not bad, kid. Do you want to meet old mistress? The old master is very powerful. He can make you fly with just a few words of advice," the figure in the light said. Jiang Qingyue was indifferent. "We don't have the same cultivation system, so father can't give him pointers. He doesn't need father's pointers. Little Yeye, don't be so cold. You're just too arrogant and don't like anyone." The person within the light was helpless. Jiang Qingyue did not say anything else and continued to stare at her sword. Lu Yin understood. No wonder this person had asked him to come and chat with Jiang Qingyue. It was probably a blind date. Lu Yin had not expected to encounter such a situation when he came to the 6th mainland to look for Stargazing Tower. This person had been forced by Jiang Qingyue's father, and his tone was filled with helplessness. The dragon turtle made things difficult for you. Sorry, Jiang Qingyue suddenly said. Lu Yin coughed. It's nothing. Jiang Qingyue looked at him. You're not from this mainland. Neither are you, Lu Yin replied. There used to be a sect called the Daoist sect on this mainland, but because of the Eternals' invasion, they abandoned this place and left many people to fend for themselves. Lu Yin was curious. You're from a parallel universe? Why did you stay here? Jiang Qingyue looked outside. To help them. Also to gain experience. The training that your father gave you? Lu Yin was very curious about Jiang Qingyue's father. Could it be the ancient Dao master? But his surname was not Jiang. Wait, Jiang? Jiang Qingyue Jiang Chen? For some reason Lu Yin suddenly thought of Jiang Chen. There were many people with the surname Jiang, but at this moment, a parallel universe and a powerful father made Lu Yin connect the two. Chapter 2699. Jiang Qingyue replied, My own training has nothing to do with father. After a moment of silence Jiang Qingyue said, If there's nothing else you can leave. The dragon turtle won't stop you. Lu Yin grunted, but after some thought he decided to ask, I have a friend with the same surname as you. His surname is Jiang. Jiang Qingyue remained calm and did not reply. His name is Jiang Chen. Do you know him? Lu Yin asked. Jiang Qingyue suddenly opened her eyes and looked at Lu Yin in surprise. The dragon turtle appeared from the shadows once again. Young Master Chen? You know young Master Chen? Lu Yin smiled and exhaled. I do know him. Jiang Qingyue stared at Lu Yin. You're Lu Yin. Lu Yin was puzzled. How did you recognize me? Does Jiang Chen only have one friend? After confirming that it was Lu Yin, Jiang Qingyue's expression softened. This is the 6th mainland and the neighboring one is the 5th mainland. He only has one friend from the 5th mainland and that's you. Lu Yin nodded. Let me formally introduce myself. I'm Lu Yin. So we're family. Fortunately, I didn't attack, or else I wouldn't be able to explain myself to young Master Chen. The dragon turtle laughed. Jiang Qingyue sized Lu Yin up. You're even more amazing than he introduced you to. You actually managed to come from the 5th mainland to the 6th mainland. Lu Yin shrugged. You guys aren't bad either. In his words, find a parallel universe with a different flow of time, and you'll be able to catch up no matter how big the gap is. Jiang Qingyue shook her head. It's not that easy. A person's aptitude is limited, so what if you can live forever? But you guys have great aptitudes, Lu Yin said. Jiang Qingyue raised her sword. If we had great aptitudes, then that half-ancestor corpse king would have died. Little Ye, little Lu Yin, we're all family. Let's not talk about this anymore. We'll get to know each other better and we might even get closer, the dragon turtle urged. Jiang Qingyue glanced at him. I have my own plans. The dragon turtle smiled, and at that moment the light around his body disappeared. His humanoid form began to change until his true form was finally revealed. Lu Yin was stunned. It really is a dragon turtle. It was a palm-sized creature with a dragon's head and a tortoise's body. It quietly landed on Jiang Qingyue's shoulder and grinned at Lu Yin. Jiang Qingyue replied, It's called the dragon turtle and it once fought alongside my father. In our parallel universe, very few people from my father's generation have survived to this day. The dragon turtle has a long lifespan and a good aptitude, so it was brought to the parallel universe by my father. When it returned, it was already a progenitor. The dragon turtle raised its head. The others are all trash, especially that damned rabbit. Actually ran away. Young Master Chen swore that he would bring it back, but he still hasn't believed him. Lu Yin sized up the dragon turtle. It was a progenitor, and it had been able to cultivate in a single trip to a parallel spacetime. Lu Yin was looking forward to finding a parallel spacetime with a different flow of time. If he could find one, would that mean that he would be a progenitor when he returned? That was different from the 4 pips on the die. The cost of 4 pips was a little high. Kid, what are you thinking about? The dragon turtle said. Lu Yin did not avoid the topic. I'm thinking about parallel spacetimes with different flows of time. The dragon turtle sneered. You're overthinking things. The flow of time is indeed different. There are some parallel spacetime universes that take a trip, and it will take you 10,000 years to return. However, don't forget that you're also in there. What do you mean? Lu Yin vaguely thought of something. The dragon turtle explained, no matter how different the flow of time is, Your own life can only adapt to the current universe. It's just like how an ordinary person only has a lifespan of 100 years. If you bring them to a different spacetime, they won't be able to return and will die there. That's because they only have a lifespan of 100 years. Their lifespan is based on their own lifespan, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in a certain universe. Otherwise, if you were to find a parallel spacetime with a different flow of time, wouldn't that mean that you would be immortal in that parallel spacetime? Lu Yin understood. No matter how different the flow of time was, it would be the same if he could not continue cultivating. There were too many people who followed the old master to cultivate in a parallel spacetime, but how many of them returned? They all died outside and there wasn't anyone left alive in that generation. The dragon turtle sighed. Right, there's something more important. Lu Yin listened attentively. The dragon turtle cautiously said, I'm not telling you. Lu Yin blinked his eyes in confusion. Jiang Qingyue was stunned as well and she slowly turned to look at the dragon turtle. The dragon turtle turned around and revealed its little tail at Lu Yin. You two can chat. I'll tell you when you've developed feelings for each other. Otherwise, don't even think about it. Kid, let me tell you, there's a huge problem with a different flow of time in a parallel spacetime. This was discovered by the old master in exchange for the lives of countless people. Unless you're the old master's son-in-law, don't even think about knowing. Jiang Qingyue subconsciously grabbed at the dragon turtle but she caught nothing. Lu Yin was speechless. The dragon turtle hadn't lied to him. There was a huge problem with a different flow of time in a parallel spacetime. What was the problem? Sorry, it wasn't like this before. It's all because of that damned rabbit, Jiang Qingyue said. Lu Yin smiled wryly. I've seen that rabbit twice and it ran away both times. If it wants to run, it's hard to stop it, Jiang Qingyue said. The two fell silent again. Lu Yin had many more questions to ask but they would be too abrupt. After all, he wasn't close to Jiang Qingyue and even if Jiang Chen was here, some questions wouldn't be appropriate. Absolute domineering fusion, Jiang Qingyue said. Lu Yin didn't understand. What's this? Jiang Qingyue raised her hand and a dark purple substance spread out. This? Lu Yin asked. You call that absolute domineering fusion? Jiang Qingyue nodded. In our parallel spacetime, Earth went through a calamity. Domineering fusion is the power that was produced in response to the calamity. It's equivalent to your world's battle force. This fusion shouldn't be easy, right? Lu Yin asked. Jiang Qingyue replied, It's not that difficult. Lu Yin raised his brows. This was something that ancient Dao master had created. Palm indestructible battle force had been tested so many times that even Madman Lu had been driven mad. Many heroes had died but it wasn't that difficult. It's fine as long as you're lucky enough, Jiang Qingyue said. Lu Yin almost couldn't breathe. That's not difficult. Luck was the most difficult part. Henshin had said that luck was very important in order to cultivate the palm indestructible realm, and he could only rely on luck. If he hadn't continuously tried things in the opposite direction, he wouldn't have succeeded. Even now, Lu Yin was still afraid of the pain he had gone through to cultivate the indestructible palm. Jiang Qingyue was calm. There's someone with a luck ability back where we came from. It's what you call an innate gift. Father succeeded because of that person's luck. Lu Yin was stunned. There's such an innate gift? Why not? Jiang Qingyue retorted. Lu Yin was stunned. That's right, why not? His innate gift with the die was more mysterious than anything else. Saruzan's innate gifts were karma, so it shouldn't be strange for him to have a luck innate gift. A luck innate gift, no wonder. If one could control luck, then they could cultivate it. The palm indestructible realm was just that simple. Lu Yin mourned for ancient Dao master. After experimenting so many times, he might as well have spent his time looking for someone with a luck innate gift. Without luck innate gifts, it's impossible to cultivate this power. That's what Father said. It was exactly as ancient Dao master had said. Lu Yin was grateful. Thank you for telling me. Jiang Qingyue replied, It's nothing. She then remembered something. Thank you for your gift. Lu Yin was confused. Gift? That mantis, Jiang Qingyue said. Lu Yin was puzzled but then he remembered that during the war with the Astral Beast Domain, the Astral Beast Domain had sent a giant mantis to kill him. Coincidentally, Jiang Chen had appeared and taken the mantis away, saying that he was going to be a gardener for his father. You mean that mantis? Jiang Qingyue replied, It works very hard. It's suitable to be a gardener. Lu Yin was speechless. He really was going to be a gardener. The two chatted casually for the rest of the time. Lu Yin was curious about Jiang Qinyue's parallel universe and she was curious about the fifth mainland. They talked about many things and before he knew it, Lu Yin had spent a few days in the colony. It was mainly because he had no clue where to find Zhai Xing Lu. Jiang Qinyue's temperament was cold, but she was still quite talkative and had a good conversation with Lu Yin. Lu Yin didn't ask about Jiang Qin and Jiang Qinyue's father, nor did he ask about other people's family matters. However, he guessed that the man was definitely someone incredible. Even a progenitor would call him master, and the dragon turtle wasn't like his crazy hellworm that could arrange a blind date. Lu Yin suddenly felt uncomfortable at the thought of a blind date, so he decided to leave. "What are you doing in the sixth mainland?" Jiang Qinyue asked as she returned from the battlefield. Lu Yin replied, "I'm looking for Stargazing Tower." Stargazing Tower? She was puzzled. Lu Yin's heart skipped a beat. "Right, have you been in the sixth mainland for a long time? They all call you the Valkyrie." Jiang Qinyue raised her sword and looked at the patterns on the snow-white blade. "I've been here quite a few times." "Then have you seen this before?" Lu Yin drew out a drawing of Stargazing Tower. Jiang Qinyue looked at it. "Yes, in an eternal kingdom." Lu Yin was pleasantly surprised. "Which eternal kingdom?" "I'm here to find it." "I'll take you there." Lu Yin asked, "Then what about this battlefield?" "You should understand the situation in the sixth mainland. Does it matter if I'm here or not?" Jiang Qinyue asked. These battlefields and the people who had resisted had been deliberately set free by the Eternals. They didn't know what their goal was, but as long as the Eternals willed it, these battlefields could disappear at any time. To the Eternals, this was just a game and they had the power to pause and end the game. The Valkyrie was just an accident. Jiang Qinyue had never believed that she could change the sixth mainland. She had only wanted to gain experience and help these people along the way. Not long after, the two of them headed north with Jiang Qinyue leading the way. According to Jiang Qinyue, the Eternal Kingdom should be within the Grand Martial Realm. The sixth mainland wasn't as large as the fifth mainland because the fifth mainland had absorbed the remnants of the other four mainlands. For example, the Astral Beast domain had come from the fourth mainland. The Technocracy, Starfall Sea, Innerverse, Outerverse and so on all had traces of the other four mainlands. The Astral Tree domain, which had broken away, had originally belonged to the fifth mainland. Chapter 2700. There's a kingdom of eternity there. I trained there for half a year until the people on that battlefield lost all hope and retreated to another battlefield. The Eternals didn't stop me, Jiang Qinyue said. Not long after, Jiang Qinyue pointed to another place. There used to be a kingdom of eternity there as well. There were too many people from the sixth mainland, but the people from that kingdom of eternity were all transferred away. I don't know where they went, but that was one of the few battles where they actually broke into the kingdom of eternity. The kingdom of eternity that you're looking for was once invaded as well. If not for that, I wouldn't have been able to find it. Lu Yin asked, "Since you know the situation here, would you have continued fighting if it weren't for training?" Jiang Qinyue thought about it. "Yes." "Why?" Lu Yin was curious. Jiang Qinyue looked ahead. "Father once said that what humans cannot afford to lose the most is not their lives, but their hope. Once upon a time, our space-time homeland also suffered a calamity, and Father was on the verge of death, but he did not give up hope. He knew how much hope and faith a person could bring to others. Even if it was just a spark, it could start a prairie fire. It doesn't matter if the war here is a game or not. Those who fight to the death on the battlefield are serious and the lives they give are also real." Lu Yin looked at Jiang Qinyue. Her words were simple, but for some reason they gave him an impulse to kill his way into the sixth mainland. He had the ability to do so, but he had never thought about it before. He had only wanted to protect his own territory. Countless people from the fifth mainland worshipped him and viewed him as their faith. He had defeated the Eternals and removed the poison of time, and he had created one legend after another over the years. To those people he was like Jiang Qinyue to the people of the sixth mainland. "Your father must have been a great person," Lu Yin sighed. The dragon turtle popped out. "Kid, try calling him father-in-law." The beautiful atmosphere instantly vanished. Jiang Qinyue glared at the dragon turtle, scaring it so much that it quickly shrank back, leaving only its shell outside. "We're almost there," Jiang Qinyue said after some time had passed and identified the direction. Lu Yin looked in a certain direction. Is it there? Oh. Lu Yin frowned and stared in that direction. There was an aura of death there, and a boundless one at that. Did the sixth mainland also have a death god's force field? Was it similar to Kun's swamp? It was not impossible. The Grim Reaper wasn't from the fifth mainland, but rather the first mainland. The three realms were actually part of the first mainland, so it wouldn't be surprising for him to leave behind the Grim Reaper force field on any of the mainlands. It was the same for the sixth mainland. With the death god's force field, Lu Yin felt strangely at ease. At the very least, he didn't have to rely on Lu Jindian's command platform or Hellworm. Aside from the slippers and the God of Sealing catalog, he still had a trump card. The Death God's left arm combined with the Death God's force field's attack had severely injured Xianxia. Why are you looking there? There's also an eternal kingdom there, but that eternal kingdom is very dangerous. It's filled with a terrifying black energy and there's no battlefield. No one dares to approach that power, Xianxia said. The dragon turtle revealed its head as well. There's a progenitor there. Don't get too close. Lu Yin looked at Xianxia. How many progenitor corpse kings are there in the sixth mainland? The dragon turtle said, I sense 2, but there are so many eternal kingdoms here. The eternal race's power here is definitely not that simple. Old Master has repeatedly warned little Yaya. Don't go overboard. It's fine if it's just a trial. Do you know how powerful the eternal race really is? Lu Yin asked. This was something that he had always been curious about. In terms of progenitors, the Six Direction Society and the primordial space should have far surpassed the eternal race. So why was the eternal race able to suppress the humans? Even if the eternal race's 7 sky gods were extremely powerful, the rulers of the Six Direction Society were not to be trifled with. Even the space-time master, who everyone thought was not good at cultivation, had the power of a progenitor. He had a corporeal consciousness and more than one body. His true strength was something that even the 3 sovereigns feared. Lu Yin did not know exactly how powerful Zhou Xian was, as everyone had their own theories. The rulers of the Six Direction Society, the 3 sovereigns and 9 sages of the reincarnation spacetime, the Void 5 tastes of the Void God spacetime, Mu carving of the wood spacetime, Mr. De Heng, and so on. All of these combined forces could easily crush the eternal race. Not to mention there were also powerhouses like the Dragon Turtle and Jiang Qinyue's father. Jiang Qinyue shook her head. Father never told me. The two looked at the Dragon Turtle. The Dragon Turtle shrank back. Someone asked Old Master this question. Lu Yin was filled with anticipation. What did he say? The Dragon Turtle replied, Do you dare to charge into the Void Realm? Lu Yin was stunned. What does the eternal race have to do with the Void Realm? It's just an analogy. If you were a normal person, would you dare to jump into a pool of unknown depth? The Dragon Turtle continued. Jiang Qinyue frowned. Cut the crap and get straight to the point. The Dragon Turtle smiled. Little Yaya, don't be anxious. Old Master has his reasons. A normal person would not dare to jump into a pool of unknown depth, but to us humans the eternal race is that pool. This is because no matter how much power you have, the eternal race will have the power to deal with it. You can't figure out its depth, and that's the most terrifying thing. Humans are very smart. When the number of progenitors increased, they probed deeper into the eternal race. But no matter how many parallel spacetime they spread out and how deep they went, the eternal race always had the power to deal with them. Because of this, the humans lost many of their members and Old Master lost a close friend. Over time they stopped probing. The sixth mainland seems to only have 2 progenitors, and it seems like it can take back 3 human progenitors. But if you try, I guarantee that one progenitor corpse king after another will appear. Lu Yin replied, but the 5th mainland won and expelled the eternal race. The Dragon Turtle explained, victory or defeat depends on the overall battle situation. Looking at all of the eternal race's battlefields, the 5th mainland is just a corner. Even the humans know not to fight over a single city, and the eternal race understands this principle even more. They are not stupid, and although they have no emotions, they have lived for many years and there are many old monsters among them. Don't underestimate the eternal race, or else Old Master would have already taken back the 6th mainland. Lu Yin nodded. He naturally did not know as much about the 6th mainland as the older powerhouses. The Six Direction Society was not stupid. The Yu family and Wei Zhu had schemed against each other, which had left countless people dumbfounded. How could such a scheme be foolishness? It could only be said that the eternal race's strength had made it impossible for them to plot against them. Back when Ancestor Hui had schemed against the eternal race, he had merely diverted the fifth mainland to the sixth mainland, which should have been occupied. He had not caused any harm to the eternal race. Sometimes the truth was just that cruel. Lu Yin recalled the scene that he had witnessed on the battlefield a few days ago. Could it be that he and the others were just like those people on the sixth mainland? That their so-called hope was something that the eternal race was willing to give? Kid, don't be discouraged. Your father-in-law, Old Master, also said that humans are very strange creatures. They look weak, but their hearts are incomparably strong no matter how dark they are. In dark times, there will always be someone who will take the lead, and there will always be someone at the front. You just have to push hard. What's there to be afraid of? If you're afraid, then lower your head and don't look, the dragon turtle said. Jiang Qingyue scolded, don't speak nonsense. Old Master is right, the dragon turtle said naturally. Jiang Qingyue's eyes widened. Of course, she did not mean that there was a problem with his words. What did he mean by your father-in-law, Old Master? He was becoming more and more ridiculous. Lu Yin pursed his lips. This dragon turtle's words were not sarcastic, but they were very sarcastic. After a while, the two arrived outside an eternal kingdom and looked at the battlefield in front of them that shook the heavens. This is the place. Let's go straight in, Jiang Qingyue said. The dragon turtle also confirmed that there were no progenitor realm corpse kings here. As long as there were no progenitors, they could walk through any place as if it were flat ground. The eternal kingdom was just as Lu Yin remembered. He had been to more than one eternal kingdom, and just as its name suggested, it could give people eternal life and bring them happiness. However, that was just an illusion. The Eternals had deliberately created an illusion of harmony, but the truth was that humans were constantly facing life-threatening dangers. Sigh, these people's smiles are too forced. They don't even know how to pretend, the dragon turtle sighed. Lu Yin looked at the people on the streets. Compared to the first time he had been to the Eternal Kingdom, this one seemed even more harmonious. The people on the streets were all smiling and greeting each other. They were happier than when they saw their loved ones. Even the corpse kings walking on the streets were greeted by people. The corpse king's scarlet eyes did not seem to scare them at all. However, it was all fake. This was the true eternal kingdom that the Eternals had created, where humans and corpse kings coexisted. The first eternal kingdom that Lu Yin had visited was still in its early stages, and it was difficult to truly build it on the fifth mainland. It was more like the residence of the seven gods' avatars, and the people there were constantly facing the fate of being slaughtered. The second eternal kingdom that he had visited had been the Sea King's Dome. There the Eternals had divided the eternal kingdom into the east and west to create harmony, separating humans from corpse kings. In this eternal kingdom, humans and corpse kings coexisted. This was exactly the same as the first 3 steps of the eternal kingdom, and Lu Yin had seen them all. The people of this eternal kingdom had probably experienced the first and second steps as well. They had experienced fear, despair, and temporary peace before becoming numb. At this moment they had put on a mask of hypocrisy. This was their greatest sorrow. Losing their freedom was a tragedy, but now they had even lost their own expressions. This place made him want to vomit. Soon Lu Yin saw Stargazing Tower. It was located in the Eternal Kingdom's garden, and it looked like an ordinary tower. I want to retrieve something from Stargazing Tower. Are you guys going back first or what? Lu Yin asked. Jiang Qingyue replied, destroy this city. The dragon turtle was apprehensive. Don't. Master told you to be careful. Don't go overboard. Jiang Qingyue replied, it's just one city, not a few. The dragon turtle looked at Lu Yin for help. Lu Yin replied, if there's an opportunity in the future, I'll bring the fifth mainland over. That will be the best time to destroy the Eternal Kingdom. That's right. Young Master Chen said that this kid has a high position in the fifth mainland and has many experts under his command. When the time comes, we can just attack. There's no need to show off now, the dragon turtle hurriedly advised. Jiang Qingyue looked at Lu Yin. You'll attack the sixth mainland? Chapter 2701. Before today, Lu Yin had never thought that he would one day attack the sixth mainland, but Jiang Qingyue's words, the dragon turtle's words, and her father's words made him think of something. I will. I'm not afraid of looking forward, and there's no need to lower my head. Being at the front isn't bad either. Perhaps a single spark can start a prairie fire. The dragon turtle praised, "Kid, I admire you. The old master must have liked you as well. Think about it, one day the two of you will charge forward, followed by little Yaya young Master Chin and your sons and daughters. How hot-blooded. I'll even lend you my turtle shell when the time comes." Jiang Qingyue's face flushed red. "Shut up. You're getting more and more out of hand from that damned rabbit." Lu Yin smiled and looked at stargazing deck again. This was a park, but there was no one here and no one would come here. The people living in this city all wore fake smiles, and they would rather hide in their homes than come out. Why would anyone come here? Lu Yin walked over and Jiang Qingyue followed him out of curiosity. The dragon turtle was about to follow, but Jiang Qingyue glared at it. "Stay away from me." The dragon turtle smiled. The more it looked at Lu Yin and Jiang Qingyue, the more it felt like they were a good match. The two of them walked over to stargazing deck. Jiang Qingyue was curious. What's so special about it? Lu Yin smiled and squatted down. He grabbed the deck and lifted it up, finding the pearl at the bottom. Xiao Shi had obtained a pearl that allowed him to read the words in the Book of Destiny. His talent in the Tao of Destiny was excellent, and this pearl was tainted with the aura of destiny. As long as he could obtain this pearl, he might be able to find the location of the Lu family. After lifting up stargazing deck, Lu Yin looked down and narrowed his eyes. Nothing? How could it not be? Had he lost it when he was stranded in the sixth mainland? Suddenly, there was a suction force, and Lu Yin and Jiang Qingyue disappeared without any reaction. The dragon turtle was shocked when it saw this. Little Yaya. It slammed into stargazing deck and a card floated in the air before it disappeared. A lost clan card? At the same time, Lu Yin and Jiang Qingyue exclaimed from within the card, "A lost clan card." The two looked at each other and attacked, wanting to break out of the card. However, layers of light continued to shine, covering the surroundings like a prison. Lu Yin immediately took out a pair of slippers as he knew that things weren't looking good. If this card had been able to suck him in without him reacting, then it had to be a primordial card that corresponded to the progenitor realm. Who would leave a primordial card in the stargazing tower? There was only one trap, and it was a trap that was specifically targeted at him. Jiang Qingyue was the one who had brought him here, but it was impossible for Jiang Qingyue to set him up. The only possibility was that this trap had been set up long ago. The Eternals knew that he would come for the pearl sooner or later. Perhaps this was not just a trap for him but for anyone who came to Zhaixinglu. It could even be a trap for fate. Since it was a trap, he had to get out as soon as possible. However, these prison-like lights were endless. The slippers scattered with a single slap, but they still couldn't keep up with the speed at which they appeared. Fortunately, it didn't last long before the light disappeared. Lu Yin smacked the card with his slipper, shattering it. He walked out with Jiang Qingyue, only to be greeted by a pair of scarlet eyes and a fist. Bang! There was a soft sound, and Lu Yin blocked with his arms as his body was sent flying. He should have been sent flying by the force of the fist, but midway through his flight, his body kept twisting and flickering as the void tore apart. Lu Yin steadied himself and looked around. This was an unstable place. This was an unstable space, and even further away was a giant source box. They were trapped in a source box array, and the purpose of this array should be to... Lu Yin casually tore through the void, but he found that the void was constantly twisting and distorting, making it impossible for him to lock onto his position. Sure enough, they couldn't tear through the void and head to a parallel space-time. This place was a trap. The one that had sent Lu Yin flying was a progenitor realm corpse king, and it quietly stood in front of him. Its scarlet eyes stared at Lu Yin as it slowly lowered its arm. Intruders shall die. Lu Yin took a deep breath. Qingyue, come here. Jiang Qingyue gripped her sword tightly and looked at the corpse king fearfully. She could feel a mountainous pressure. She had faced a progenitor realm creature before, but it had not been a life-or-death situation. With her current cultivation, how could she face a progenitor realm corpse king? It could crush her to death with a single finger. Lu Yin clenched his fists and felt a burst of pain in his arm. He had blocked that attack, but his bones had cracked. This corpse king had a terrifying physical strength, so where had this monster come from? When fighting at the same realm, eternal corpse kings were indeed stronger than humans, but that did not apply to Lu Yin. Lu Yin's physical strength was enough to crush a red-eyed corpse king at the same realm as him, and he could even fight against an ordinary progenitor realm corpse king. However, this Corpse King's physical strength was definitely abnormal even among the Eternal Corpse Kings. One punch, just one punch. He could not fight this Corpse King head-on. Progenitors had their own fighting styles, battle techniques, and progenitor worlds. They were all extremely difficult to deal with, but what was truly difficult to deal with was still the most fundamental strength. Just as the ancient Pathmaster had said, the physical body was the true path that humans should take, and they should not rely on some kind of world-changing strength. Eternal Corpse Kings were proficient in physical combat, which was simple and pure. However, once one's physical body reached a certain level of strength, there would be no way to deal with it. Think of a way to leave on your own, Lu Yin said to Jiang Qingyue. The scarlet eye closed in on him. It did not seem to be very fast, but in this narrow and distorted space this speed was enough. Lu Yin pushed Jiang Qingyue aside and looked at the chaotic spatial lines. He did not dare to move carelessly for fear of suddenly appearing under the Corpse King's fist. That would be bad luck. The wind from the fist brushed past his cheek, leaving behind a trail of blood. Lu Yin could not breathe under the pressure of the fist and he kept retreating. The Corpse King turned around and kicked out, its movement simple and pure. Lu Yin's body was covered in a blackish-purple substance, and he tried to kick out and meet the Corpse King's attack head-on. There was another collision and the blackish-purple substance covering Lu Yin's foot actually cracked open. The Corpse King did not even slow down and immediately followed up with a second kick. Lu Yin took out his slipper and slapped it down, but the Corpse King retracted its leg at the critical moment and spread its arms wide. There was still some distance between them before it struck out with a palm. The pure wind from the palm caused the void to disperse, and Lu Yin's expression changed as he slapped the slipper down. The slipper dispersed the palm wind, but the force contained within it almost caused Lu Yin to lose his grip on the slipper. The Corpse King struck out again and again and Lu Yin could only retreat. He could not afford to waste time with the progenitor Corpse King, or he would definitely die. With the slipper in hand, the Corpse King did not engage in close combat, which made Lu Yin even more certain that this was a trap. The fact that the Corpse King was so afraid of the slipper proved that it had already been prepared. Suddenly the Corpse King's eyes changed to gray. Not good, its physical strength had increased tenfold. Lu Yin did not hesitate to use the Divine Seal Catalog, and Nong Yi and Lu Yun's shadows appeared together. The Corpse King's palm strike was several times stronger than before, and the pressure caused space to shatter as a world of nothingness appeared. Jiang Qingyue was shocked. Even though it was not targeted at her, the pressure of this power was still unbearable, and her heart felt like it was about to explode. Lu Yin felt the same way. Nong Yi raised his hoe and swung it down, using Nong Yi's battle technique, planting. Countless shadows overlapped with each other, and the momentum was boundless. Lu Yin used his own strength to form a blade flowing cloud slash. The wind from the palm whistled past, forcing both Nong Yi and Lu Yun back. Neither planting nor flowing cloud slash could suppress a mere palm wind. The Corpse King took a step forward and raised a hand to press down on Nong Yi. A leaf appeared above Nong Yi's head, but the Corpse King's palm struck down and shattered the leaf. Nong Yi's figure became somewhat blurry, and streaks of flowing cloud-like energy formed solid attacks that frantically bombarded the Corpse King. Flowing Cloud's ancestral world, thousand streams break. Each attack contained the power of a progenitor, enough to instantly kill a half-step progenitor. However, these attacks were useless against the Corpse King, who was like an unshakable mountain. With a casual wave of his hand, the attacks dispersed. Lu Yun was not weak, and he had killed a powerhouse who had transcended spacetime with a black energy source before. However, he was actually so weak against this Corpse King. The Eternals had prepared a killing move for Lu Yin, and Lu Yin felt that this Corpse King was not any weaker than Xianxia. In terms of physical strength, the Corpse King far surpassed Xianxia. Lu Yin used his slippers and stirred up spatial threads, appearing behind the Corpse King and slamming down. At the same time, within the Eternal Kingdom, the dragon turtle was enraged and directly attacked the city. The Corpse Kings charged forward one after another, but they were all casually killed by the dragon turtle. It had not expected that a moment of carelessness would cause Jiang Qingyue to disappear. How would it explain this to its old master? This was the Eternal Kingdom, so this had to be the work of the Eternals. When it thought of the Eternals' methods, its heart sank. What are you trying to do? That's the Lightning Lord's daughter. If you dare touch her, the Lightning Lord will not let you off. The dragon turtle bellowed as a blinding light swept out, causing the eternal kingdom to continuously melt. In the distance, a figure hurried over. It was the Otherworlder, and he was on the sixth mainland. When he saw the dragon turtle frantically destroying the eternal kingdom, the Otherworlder took action. Dragon turtle, you want to fight to the death with the Eternals? The dragon turtle glared at the Otherworlder. You've captured the Lightning Lord's daughter. Hand her over. The Otherworlder was startled. The Lightning Lord's daughter? When the Otherworlder had been on the sixth mainland, he had not known much about the Six Paths Society or the Eternals. Now that he had joined the Eternals, he had seen the outer space and knew how large it was and how many powerhouses there were. Among them, the Lightning Lord was definitely at the top. He was an existence that even the seven sky gods did not want to fight to the death with. Who captured the Lightning Lord's daughter? Even though the Eternals and the Lightning Lord were enemies, the Otherworlder did not want to attract the Lightning Lord's attention. Thus, the Otherworlder had known that the dragon turtle had brought the Lightning Lord's daughter to the sixth mainland, but he had not stopped it. Now that something had happened to the Lightning Lord's daughter, the Otherworlder would definitely die if the Lightning Lord was attracted. The dragon turtle pointed at stargazing Lu. What's going on over there? The Otherworlder looked at stargazing Lu and his eyes lit up. Lu Yin is here too? The dragon turtle's expression changed. Is this a trap for that brat Lu Yin? The Otherworlder's expression turned ugly. Why is the Lightning Lord's daughter with Lu Yin? No one could answer him. The dragon turtle bellowed and ordered the Otherworlder to release the girl. The Otherworlder naturally did not want the Lightning Lord's daughter to die, but this was no longer something he could control. Within the distorted sourcebox array, Lu Yin was sent flying, and the slipper in his hand almost fell to the ground. He had used the slipper to launch a sneak attack, but the Corpse King had dodged it and sent him flying with a palm wind. Chapter 2702. The Corpse King instantly appeared in front of Lu Yin. Lu Yin stepped on the stars, and it was as if the continent formed from fates and in his heart had appeared, causing the surrounding void to break away. At that moment, Lu Yin could sense a parallel spacetime that allowed him to leave. This was a power that even Mr. Mu found strange, and even the sourcebox array could not distort it. But if he left, what would happen to Jiang Qingyue? She would definitely die. Lu Yin could not abandon Jiang Qingyue and flee. The power from his heart had only given him a brief moment of life, and that brief moment of hesitation had already passed. The Corpse King's palm invaded Lu Yin's surroundings, causing the stable space around him to crack. No matter how strange this power was, it could not make up for the difference between him and the Corpse King. As the Corpse King's palm approached, Lu Yin used the reverse step to reverse time and retreat. He maintained a certain distance from the Corpse King, but he could not maintain the reverse step for long. In the distance, Jiang Qingyue was shocked. She had not expected Lu Yin to be able to tangle with such a terrifying Corpse King for so long. It was already unbelievable that an emissary, even a half-progenitor, could last a few breaths of time against a progenitor. Lu Yin was only an emissary and one with 6 origin tribulations at that. In the small space, Lu Yin could not retreat very far with the reverse step. The Corpse King suddenly stopped and punched the void with its right fist. Ripples instantly appeared as a powerful force wreaked havoc. Lu Yin's expression changed and he hurriedly tried to protect Jiang Qingyue. "Don't worry about me," Jiang Qingyue shouted with great difficulty. She held her sword in reverse and swayed like a willow tree in the wind. Lu Yin was stunned. She had actually survived the Corpse King's strength? He did not have time to worry about her, and he was relieved that she could protect herself. However, he still tossed her a lotus treasure. "Take it." Jiang Qingyue took it. On the other side, the Corpse King punched the air again. Punch after punch, the power of each punch was increasing. Lu Yin's divine seal catalog shone with golden light as Lu Yun and Nong Yi attacked again. He could not allow the Corpse King to attack indiscriminately, or else Jiang Qingyue would not be able to hold on. Nong Yi and Lu Yun could only be considered average within the progenitor realm, and they were far from being able to contend against 9 mountains and 8 seas. This Corpse King, on the other hand, had the power to contend against 9 mountains and 8 seas, and it was especially adept at physical strength. When Lu Yin unleashed his full power, the Divine Seal Catalog's power could only barely allow Lu Yin to pull some distance away from the Corpse King and protect himself. However, he definitely would not be able to last for long. He had many treasures on him, but aside from the slippers, none of them were able to harm the Corpse King. He also had many powers such as visualization, breaking through 3 stages to restore himself, and the Aeon Evolution True Scripture. However, none of these powers were effective against the Corpse King. This was a hopeless situation that the Eternals believed to be hopeless, but that was not necessarily the case for Luin. The 6th mainland had the Grim Reaper's force field. Cloud-like attacks appeared in the air and crazily pressed down on the Corpse King. Nong Yi's leaves also covered the void. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he went to Jiang Qinyue's side and took out the Grim Reaper's left arm. "Stay close to me later," he said to Go Lian. At the same time, in a faraway eternal kingdom, countless people watched as the death energy tore through the ground and transformed into a black streak that shot into the distance. An ancestor realm Corpse King opened its eyes and walked out. The dragon tortoise and the mutant also saw it. "It really is Luin." The mutant's gaze was fierce. He hated Luin as if it weren't for this brat he would not have been punished by the Eternals and forced to listen to Qin Kong's orders. He had to kill this brat. The streak of death energy traversed the Grand Martial Realm and descended when the Corpse King broke through Nong Yi and Lu Yun's blockade. It was guided by Go Lian, and Lu Yin faced the Corpse King with Go Lian's horizontal slash. This slash had suppressed Madman Lu to the point that he could not even lift his head. If not for Madman Lu activating his Corpse King transformation, he would not have been able to escape. This slash had severely injured Xianxia and forced Bai Wangyuan to sign an alliance. Lu Yin was confident that this slash could heavily injure the Corpse King. Go Lian slashed and a giant black shadow appeared behind Lu Yin. Its dignified gaze descended. It was the Grim Reaper. The Corpse King bellowed and its pupils changed again to green. Its physical strength continued to increase, and the void around it exploded like thunder. Even the void was unable to withstand the pressure. Lu Yin gritted his teeth and slashed at the Corpse King. This attack sent the Corpse King flying out of the sourcebox array and directly broke through it. "Let's go," Lu Yin growled as he tore through the void, intending to take Jiang Qinyue away. Suddenly, Jiang Qinyue stabbed her sword at Lu Yin, but due to the difference in power she was unable to truly injure him. However, this attack stunned him. Was Jiang Qinyue trying to kill him? Lu Yin looked at her in shock and saw that her eyes were lifeless. At the same time he also saw that bubbles had appeared around him at some point. Was this Qin Kong? Jiang Qinyue stabbed out again, but Lu Yin grabbed the sword and struck out with a palm. He wanted to knock her out and take her away since she was under Qin Kong's control. However, a lotus treasure appeared around her body and Lu Yin's palm landed on it. A grade 4 lotus flower bloomed, rendering Lu Yin's attack ineffective. A grade 4 lotus flower was enough to block a progenitor's strength. Lu Yin could not use progenitor's strength to knock Jiang Qinyue out, and the lotus treasure continued to exist even after blocking the attack. This lotus treasure was not from the 6 direction training rites, so it did not have the ability to directly take Jiang Qinyue there. Lu Yin regretted giving her this lotus treasure out of all the other lotus treasures he had. If he had known earlier, he would have given her another lotus treasure. That one attack would have been enough to take her away. Now he still had to break through the lotus treasure's defenses to take Jiang Qinyue away. Helpless, Lu Yin took out the slipper again. "Lu Yin, what are you doing?" The dragon turtle shouted when it saw Lu Yin use the slipper to hit Jiang Qinyue. Before Lu Yin could explain, the black attack disappeared from behind him. A huge wound had appeared on the Corpse King's body, and half of its neck had been severed. The 6th mainland's death god's force field was no less deadly than the Ghost Abyss, but the seemingly injured Corpse King still possessed terrifying strength. Unless it was destroyed, the threat it posed would not be reduced. It was no longer just a Corpse King, and Lu Yin could sense that there was another progenitor Corpse King in the direction of the death aura. Not only had the dragon turtle arrived, but the mutant had also arrived. Lu Yin saw the mutant and the mutant saw Lu Yin as well. "Kid, you're dead." Jiang Qinyue stabbed her sword towards Lu Yin's neck. The dragon turtle arrived and looked on in confusion. The Corpse King charged forward and struck out with a palm. The dragon turtle subconsciously expanded its body and used its shell to block the attack. The Corpse King's palm struck the shell, but it only managed to push the dragon turtle back a few steps. The dragon turtle was shocked. Where did this monster come from? How can it force me back? The Corpse King was just as astonished, as there were not many Eternals who could take a palm strike from him without suffering any injuries. Lu Yin dodged Jiang Qinyue's sword. She's being controlled by Qing Kong. Lotus, take her away. The dragon turtle was enraged. Qing Kong? That despicable and shameless bastard. He looked around and saw the bubble. It was indeed empty. Bastard. Little Yaya, wake up. Die, kid. The mutant attacked and the disc whistled through the air. On the other side, a progenitor corpse king attacked. It opened its arms and a brick-like object appeared in space and extended outwards. It was as if a roof had covered the sky. Although he couldn't understand the corpse king's actions, he still felt a sense of danger. He swatted out with his slipper once more, shattering the lotus treasure's defenses. With a bang, the lotus blossom stage 4 shattered. The fragments scattered in front of Jiang Qingyue's eyes like mirrors that reflected her own appearance. The dragon turtle's body expanded again, and its shell enveloped both Lu Yin and Jiang Qingyue. Wake up, little Yaya. This was the dragon turtle's holy light, and its original name was the Holy Light Dragon Turtle. The moment it enveloped Lu Yin, he felt a warmth spread through his body, and both his injuries and energy were completely healed. He was astonished by the dragon turtle's strength. If he brought this fellow to the battlefield, it would not be easy for him to die. Jiang Qingyue raised her sword again and Lu Yin helplessly said, "Knock it out." A gust of wind blew past and Lu Yin's hair stood on end. For some reason he felt like he was being watched and a bubble appeared behind his head. The dragon turtle roared, "Despicable!" Just as it was about to attack, Jiang Qingyue stabbed her sword in a different direction. She had stabbed in a strange direction towards a deserted area. However, the bubble was pierced through by the sword. Jiang Qingyue's eyes lit up. "I can feel Qing Kong's breathing." Lu Yin was stunned. "She's awake? How is that possible?" He could not find Qing Kong. The dragon turtle was delighted. "Little Yaya, is your force complete?" Jiang Qingyue replied, "Let's think of a way to leave first." Outside, the mutant and the two progenitor corpse kings continuously attacked the dragon turtle's shell, trying to force Lu Yin out. However, the dragon turtle's shell was indeed tough. "Dragon turtle, take the lightning lord's daughter and leave. Leave Lu Yin behind and we won't stop you," one of the mutants said. Lu Yin heard him. The lightning lord's daughter? The dragon turtle was tempted. Something could happen to him or anyone else but not Jiang Qingyue. Jiang Qingyue looked up. "If we're leaving, we'll leave together." The dragon turtle looked at Lu Yin helplessly. Lu Yin tried to tear through the void, but at some point the source box array had enveloped him once more, and he could not locate a parallel spacetime. "Little Yaya, why don't you call old master over?" the dragon turtle asked. Lu Yin replied, "Neither she nor I can locate a parallel spacetime." The dragon turtle felt a headache coming on. They had followed the lightning lord and they did not need to leave behind a spacetime coordinate imprint to travel through parallel spacetime. However, they still needed to find a parallel spacetime first. Otherwise, it would be easy for something to happen to them if they suddenly traveled through a parallel spacetime. That was their last resort. "This is a trap for me. If you have no other choice, you should leave," Lu Yin said. He had used the power in his heart to separate the void, and he should be able to do it this time as well. As long as he could leave, the Eternals would not do anything to the dragon turtle and Jiang Qingyue. Suddenly, Jiang Qingyue shouted, "Qing Kong!" She stabbed out with her sword, aiming behind Lu Yin. Lu Yin turned around and struck out with a palm. The dragon turtle also used his light to illuminate the area, and a faint shadow could be seen. The shadow disappeared in an instant and bubbles appeared one after another. The three of them broke the bubbles. Chapter 2703. Lu Yin felt his scalp go numb as Qing Kong had set his sights on him again. He didn't care about Jiang Qingyue at all, perhaps because he didn't want to provoke the lightning lord. As for the dragon turtle, he hadn't attacked either, probably because he felt that it was useless. The dragon turtle's healing power was too strong, and he definitely had a way to protect himself. Not only was Qing Kong watching him, but he also didn't want Lu Yin to attack. Qing Kong had seen the entire battle with the Corpse King, and he knew that Lu Yin had a way to escape. "You must die," an overlapping voice rang out in Lu Yin's ears. It was Qing Kong's voice. "Despicable person," the dragon turtle roared. Jiang Qingyue closed her eyes and sensed. Lu Yin continuously used the power from his heart, and whenever he did so, Qing Kong would attack, not giving him a chance to tear through the void. The Corpse King's attacks were forceful, but Qing Kong was all-pervasive. His attacks were faster and more ruthless than the Corpse King's. Against the Corpse King, Lu Yin had a chance to escape, but against Cheng Kong he had no chance at all. Lu Yin opened his eyes and looked at the chaotic spatial lines. Senior Dragon Turtle, how much longer can you hold on? The Dragon Turtle was in pain. The main thing is that the Corpse King is too strong. I can't hold on for much longer. Lu Yin frowned as he had to think of a solution as soon as possible. Don't listen to him, he can hold on for a long time, Jiang Qingyue suddenly said. He also knows the absolute fusion hockey that covers his shell. Even father said that it's hard to break through. Little Yaya, just because it's hard doesn't mean it's impossible. What if the 7 sky gods come? Ching Kong is here and you know how sinister that guy is. Lu Yin suddenly moved away from where he was standing. Ching Kong had been watching him the entire time, not giving him any chance to escape. He had to find a flaw in Ching Kong's defenses and give him a split second to escape. As long as he could escape, the crisis would naturally be resolved. Ching Kong, do you still remember Tu Shuang? No one answered and Ching Kong didn't say anything either. She's in my hands. I was the one who ruined your plan and I was also the one who exposed Yunwu. I've already found a way to distinguish between illusion and illusion. Lu Yin suddenly took Tu Shuang out of his cosmic ring and tossed her to one side. He didn't hesitate to use the power from his heart, but danger quickly followed and he had no choice but to dodge. Tu Shuang looked around blankly. Where is this? She looked at Lu Yin and saw the bubble as well. She was overjoyed. Master, is that you, Master? Master. There was a thump as her head exploded as a formless energy obliterated her. Lu Yin's eyes narrowed. This was Cheng Kong's move and he had not hesitated to kill his own disciple. This was the way of the Eternals. Jiang Qingyue stabbed out with her sword but she missed. Forget it, little Yaya. You can feel Cheng Kong's breathing but the difference between the two of you is too great. How can you hurt him? Your movements are countless times slower in his eyes, said the Dragon Turtle. Outside, the mutants continued to ask the Dragon Turtle to take Jiang Qingyue away. This matter had nothing to do with them. However, the Dragon Turtle's shell remained stuck there for several days. Jiang Qingyue was right. The tortoise's shell was very tough. The dragon tortoise did not even need to use its purplish-black substance to block the attacks from the outside. If not for Ching Kong's watch, Lu Yin would have left long ago. I advise you to scram. The Lightning Lord already knows that we're in danger. When the Lightning Lord comes, no one will be able to save you, the Dragon Turtle threatened. The mutant was afraid of Lu Yin, so he moved even faster. He had to kill Lu Yin. Ching Kong was also determined to kill Lu Yin. This trap had been set up flawlessly. If not for Jiang Qingyue and the Dragon Turtle, Lu Yin definitely would not have survived. This was a trap that had been set up many years ago and now that it had succeeded, how could they give up? Lu Yin continued to stare at it. Once the spatial lines stabilized, he would try to tear through the void and leave. He could not wait for death here, or else he did not believe that the tortoise shell would be able to withstand 1 or 2 of the 7 sky gods. What's that? Lu Yin stared in one direction. He was looking at the spatial lines. His gaze pierced through the tortoise shell and looked into the distance. The spatial lines there were outside the range of the source box array, so they should be stable. However, he saw the spatial lines sink in, then protrude, then sink and protrude again. It was as if someone was walking on them. He immediately became vigilant. If someone was walking on them, then the first person he thought of was the witch spirit god. If the witch spirit god came, then things would be troublesome. When he thought of this, he hurriedly walked to the edge of the tortoise shell and looked into the distance. He saw the starry sky above the spatial lines, but what was not visible to others was a large tree. It was the tree that had escaped. That tree was actually here and it seemed to be passing by. Danger descended and Ching Kong attacked. Lu Yin dodged once again and had the dragon turtle charge in the direction that the tree was passing by. The dragon turtle was helpless. I can't leave. I can only block it. If I could leave, I would have done so long ago. Lu Yin took out a lotus treasure. Use this. The dragon turtle was astonished. Not long after, a grade 4 lotus treasure blocked the tortoise shell. The dragon turtle charged in the direction that Lu Yin had pointed out. Inside the tortoise shell, Lu Yin had also given a lotus treasure to Jiang Qingyue. Relying on the grade 4 lotus treasure, Lu Yin did not care about Ching Kong's attacks. He just grabbed the tortoise shell and headed in a certain direction while Lu Yin led the way. Chen Kong did not know what Lu Yin was trying to do, but he did not hesitate to attack. There was definitely something wrong with Lu Yin's sudden change. The Grade 4 Lotus treasure could only withstand one attack from Chen Kong. Lu Yin had a total of 12 Lotus treasures on him, and Jiang Qingyue had already used one, so he still had 11 left. Now he gave one to Jiang Qingyue, gave 6 to the dragon turtle and used 4 for himself. He could only withstand 4 of Chen Kong's attacks while the dragon turtle could withstand the 6 attacks from the outside. It was impossible for any of the Lotus treasures to bring them back to the Hexagon training hall. Even they themselves could not find a parallel spacetime within the sourcebox array, let alone an inanimate object. The dragon turtle's body was huge, and each time it moved, it would cover a great distance. In outer space, the Grade 4 Lotus treasure continued to bloom. Within the tortoise shell, Lu Yin's body also continued to bloom with lotus flowers. When the dragon turtle moved 3 times, Lu Yin shouted, "Come out." He then endured Chen Kong's 4th attack and charged out of the tortoise shell. He grabbed at the invisible void and grabbed onto a tree branch. The tree that had been wandering around in space was like a rabbit whose tail had been stepped on. It jumped in fright and frantically fled. Lu Yin grabbed Jiang Qingyue, and the dragon turtle shrank and landed on Jiang Qingyue's shoulder. It was then dragged away by the tree. The tree was also exposed, and the mutants and the Eternals saw it. "That's the tree." One of the mutants cried out. The tree shook its branches and fled in a certain direction. Its branches frantically whipped around, trying to throw Lu Yin and the others off. The mutants roared, after it. Just as they were about to give chase, the tree disappeared again. Lu Yin did not dare to move about recklessly in the void, but the tree was different. This thing was constantly moving through space and was adept at escaping. It had been fine for so many years, so it should be fine if they were dragged along by it. He was also curious as to where the people that had been taken away by the tree had gone. The sourcebox array could not stop the tree, and the mutants and the Corpse King's attacks were also deflected by the tree's branches. The tree was fearless in all sorts of battlefields, and it had even been able to take away a few people in a battle where the 7 sky gods had participated. In the blink of an eye, the tree was gone. The mutants stared blankly. Why did that tree appear? Not too far away, the 2 Corpse Kings stood in place. They could not catch up, and they could not even see where the tree was. Even if they did, it would be useless. "It's fine to be taken away by the tree," Chen Kong's voice rang out, and it sounded like several voices overlapping each other. The mutants heard this, but they could not see where Chen Kong was either. Their eyes flickered. How could Chen Kong not be able to kill Lu Yin after staying in the tortoise shell for a few days? They did not believe it. At the same time, in the void, Lu Yin clung tightly to the tree branch. He did not know if Chen Kong and the rest of the Eternals had caught up, but he did not have the time to check. At the very least, he could not be shaken off by the tree. However, the tree seemed to have gone mad and wanted to shake them off. "This is the tree that the old master was looking for." The dragon turtle was shocked. Lu Yin was astonished. "The lightning master is looking for it? Capture it and give it to the old master," the dragon turtle said excitedly. When the tree heard this, it became even more frenzied and waved its branches around. At the same time, flames blossomed from the branches like a blooming flower, beautiful yet dangerous. Lu Yin looked at the slowly blooming flames. "What's this?" "Let go." The dragon turtle grabbed Lu Yin and quickly retreated. The 3 of them left the tree, and the tree branch that Lu Yin had just grabbed also blossomed with flames. If he had been 1 step slower, he would have been touched by the flames. The burning tree quickly disappeared as it ran away in a rather pathetic manner. Lu Yin and the other 2 also fell down and landed on a meteorite. Lu Yin stared into the distance, but the tree had already disappeared. "Fortunately, we were 1 step faster, or else you would have been finished. The old master warned you not to touch those flames." The dragon turtle felt a lingering fear. "It's a pity that we couldn't catch it." "You scared it," Jiang Qingyue understood. The dragon turtle was helpless. "How would I have known that it would be so cowardly? It could have crossed the battlefield and feared no one, but it was abnormally cowardly. What a strange tree." Lu Yin looked at his hand. Those flames should have been the flames that had burned the Book of Destiny. The book had burned because he had wanted to investigate Immemorial City. He had thought that those flames had come from Immemorial City, but since they had come from this tree, then this tree must be related to Immemorial City. He then thought back to what the Undying God had said, Su Wangdan had tricked the Netherworld ancestor and gone to Immemorial City. The tree had also taken Su Wangtian, the Netherworld ancestor, and the others away during the Battle of Jiuhe in the Third Mainland. It was not hard to guess that this tree could bring people to Immemorial City. That also explained why the Lightning Master was looking for it. The Lightning Master also wanted to go to Immemorial City. What kind of place was Immemorial City? Mr. Mu, the Lightning Master, and the powerhouses of the Above Heaven sect all wanted to go. What about the Grand Empyreans? Did they want to go to Immemorial City? They should be able to go. What did the Eternals think of Immemorial City? The more he understood about this universe, the more doubts he had. It was as if a group of people had covered up the truth. This isn't the sixth mainland, the dragon turtle said. But it's not dangerous. Jiang Qingyue looked at Lu Yin. Sorry. Lu Yin was puzzled. What's wrong? Jiang Qingyue apologized. I was the one who led you to the trap. Lu Yin laughed. It has nothing to do with you. This is a trap that the Eternals set for me. I would have gone there regardless of whether you were there or not. On the contrary, it's because of you that I'm safe. Jiang Qingyue's character portrait will be posted on the public account. Brothers, search for author Drifting Wind on WeChat. Follow her and you'll be able to see it. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2704. That's right. The dragon turtle appeared on Jiang Qingyue's shoulder and stared at Lu Yin. Kid, you're pretty unlucky. Not everyone is qualified to be schemed against by the Eternals. If not for us, you would have died without a doubt. Lu Yin solemnly replied, That's right. I'll have to be careful in the future. The Eternals are never stupid, especially those despicable bastards like Qin Kong. They're extremely vile, but it's strange. Why didn't Qin Kong use his full strength when you were in the turtle shell? That bastard is second only to the 7 sky gods. If he used his full strength, I wouldn't have been able to protect you. Lu Yin found this strange as well. The only explanation he could think of was He Wuxian's promise of 100,000 years. That was his bottom line. But if Qin Kong didn't want to kill him, then why had he trapped him? Why hadn't he allowed him to escape? Are you guys going back? Lu Yin asked. The dragon turtle replied, We didn't expect to encounter such danger. We definitely have to go back and we have to report this matter to the Lightning Lord. Jiang Qingyue said to Lu Yin, We'll meet again if there's a chance. Lu Yin nodded. If there's a chance, say hello to Jiang Chen for me. Before leaving, Jiang Qingyue suddenly thought of something and looked at Lu Yin. You don't seem to have felt force before. Lu Yin was surprised. What force? The dragon turtle reminded. Little Yeye. Jiang Qingyue looked at the dragon turtle. Father didn't stop me from telling others. The dragon turtle was helpless. It's not that you can't tell them, but you'll lead them astray. We took a shortcut to cultivate force, but they can't take that shortcut. Jiang Qingyue didn't understand. The dragon turtle explained, Force is our parallel universe's understanding of all things in the universe, including form and consciousness. In Old Master's words, it's a kind of shortcut, a shortcut for mortals to surpass the heavens. Old Master wasn't the first to cultivate it. Old Master learned it from your master in the beginning and then he mastered it. Once you comprehend force, it can greatly increase your combat power. Therefore, when you were traveling through parallel universes, Old Master taught some people but none of them succeeded. Old Master didn't know the reason. He guessed that it was because the levels were different. Old Master once cultivated force from a realm where he couldn't travel through the universe. For cultivators, that was the initial stage. Once they cultivated after that stage, it seemed that they couldn't match their force. That's not all. Many people delay their original cultivation because of cultivating force, and even have errors in their understanding of force, causing their cultivation to become chaotic. If you tell him rashly, not only will you not be able to help him, you may even harm him. Jiang Qingyue was surprised. Father didn't tell me. The dragon turtle smiled bitterly. Old Master never thought that there would be a day when you would take the initiative to tell others about your power, just like how he gave up on finding a man for you. The last sentence made Jiang Qingyue's expression turn ugly. Lu Yin understood. So you were able to find Qin Kong? Yes. Lu Yin was surprised as this force sounded different from a domain and spiritual force. He believed that his own domain, spiritual force and spiritual force were all at an extremely high level, but he still couldn't find Qin Kong. Qin Kong wasn't traveling through space, or else he wouldn't have been unable to find him. He couldn't do anything to Chen Kong, but Jiang Qingyue could feel his breathing. Was this what force was? Look, the kid's interested. If he's not careful, he'll be led astray. The dragon turtle shook his head and sighed as if he had seen many people like this. Lu Yin smiled. It's fine, I'm not afraid of being led astray. The power in his heart was already very mixed, and even Mr. Mu was surprised. What could he do with another type of force? The dragon turtle said, "You don't understand the consequences of going astray." Lu Yin looked at Jiang Qingyue. How do I cultivate this force? Jiang Qingyue seriously replied, You should listen to the dragon turtle. Since my father mentioned it, there must be a reason. Lu Yin shrugged. I'm just asking. I might not cultivate it. Jiang Qingyue shook her head. I'll go back and ask my father. I can find you. Lu Yin was helpless. All right. The dragon turtle tore through the void, and the moment before Jiang Qingyue stepped in, she looked back at Lu Yin. This so-called force is to comprehend the life and breathing of the universe. If you can cultivate this force based on this sentence, then you'll have succeeded. Otherwise, you'll have to give up on cultivating this force. Kid, our cultivation time is actually much shorter than your fifth mainlands. This force is a shortcut, so you should walk your own path. With that, the dragon turtle and Jiang Qingyue disappeared. Lu Yin looked at the empty meteorite and sighed as he fell into deep thought. The universe was life. Breathing. How could he cultivate this force based on this sentence alone? But it didn't matter. Just as the dragon turtle had said, every space-time zone had its own cultivation method, and there was no need to learn this force. He looked into the distance, but he could no longer find stargazing deck. Lu Yin had originally thought that this trip would only cause trouble for stargazing deck, and that he would be able to bring it back as long as he could find it. He had never expected that it would be a trap. The Eternals had already used stargazing deck to set up a trap for him, which meant that they already knew about stargazing deck. Finding it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. The frigid Immortal sect had attacked stargazing deck at the same time in an attempt to destroy Lu Yin's trump card to threaten Bai Xianer. This incident had caused a huge commotion, and it wasn't strange that the Eternals knew about it. Lu Yin had been too careless to believe that the Eternals had been banished from the fifth mainland. In reality, the Eternals had hidden themselves very well, and there were too many spies and redbacks among the humans. Lu Yin had no choice but to tear through the void and return to the Eternal Kingdom before returning to the fifth mainlands above heaven. After returning, he had Fate's daughter, Butian and Xiaoxia search. Even if they couldn't find the 12th bead, he still wanted to try and see if he could use the 11 beads to find traces of the other 2 beads. Pathmaster. Lu Bujing arrived. Lu Yin was curious. Third uncle, why are you here? Lu Bujing's expression was solemn. You've been getting closer to destiny recently, and that's not a good thing. Everyone in our era is afraid of destiny. Lu Yin nodded. I know, but I have no choice. I want to use destiny to find my family. Lu Bujing was shocked. You want to use destiny to find your family? Lu Yin told Lu Bujing about the beads, and Lu Bujing grew excited. No wonder. If that's the case, then it's worth the risk to get closer to destiny. Lu Yin knew that Lu Bujing was afraid of destiny, and he himself was as well. However, Lu Bujing's fear was a little too much. Lu Bujing was someone from the above heaven era and had experienced destiny before, so he should know that destiny was just a cultivator. Although destiny is feared, he's still an expert of the 3 realms and 6 Daoists on the same level as the Grim Reaper and Wu Tian. Third uncle, aren't you being too afraid? Lu Bujing sighed. Destiny is different from the Grim Reaper and Wu Tian. In our era, the Grim Reaper suppressed the astral beast domain and watched over the 4th mainland. To the 4th mainland, he was truly the Grim Reaper and had nothing to do with us. However, destiny was an exception. He paused for a moment before continuing seriously. Destiny can see through the river of time. It's mysterious and unfathomable, and it's difficult for ordinary people to see it. The legends about destiny aren't very good, and no one wants others to see their future, including our Lu family's ancestors. Do you know why one of my 3 ancestral chi is destiny? It's because destiny wants to see through my Lu family's future. The ancestor wanted to find a way to counter it, so he tried his best to turn my ancestral chi into destiny. He hoped that when I became an ancestor, my ancestral chi would be able to resist destiny. So, third uncle, your attitude towards destiny comes from my Lu family's ancestor. Lu Bujing nodded. I'm only a half-step ancestor and I can't see through destiny. I can only follow the ancestors' footsteps. In short, don't provoke destiny. Lu Yin understood. Destiny's daughter had caused the deaths of many people by arranging karma, and Lu Yin had understood what kind of person Destiny was. If possible, he would not want to provoke such a person. Right, third uncle, have you heard of influence? Lu Bujing was confused. Influence? What does that mean? Lu Yin was not surprised. If you don't know, then forget it. Tell me, I might have heard of it. The ancestor was willing to talk to me about it back then. Lu Bujing was interested. Lu Yin said, some people say that the universe is alive and breathing. That's influence. Lu Bujing exclaimed, the ancestor said that as well. Lu Yin was shocked. My Lu family's ancestor? Lu Bujing nodded and stroked his chin as he tried to recall. I remember the ancestor saying that, but I was stunned at the time. The universe is a space that we live in, and it's infinitely large and includes everything. No matter what, it can't be alive. Who said that to you? Lu Yin replied, a stranger. Lu Bujing grunted in acknowledgement. Right, what else did the ancestor say? Lu Yin asked. Lu Bujing shook his head. Nothing else. The ancestor only sighed a little. Maybe he drank too much and I didn't understand. If Daoist Tianyi was here, he might know more. The ancestor told him many things and it seemed like he was spoiling things through excessive enthusiasm. Lu Yin was envious and he wished that someone like the ancestor could give him pointers. Mr. Mu was clearly his master, but he had never told him these things. He would definitely ask Mr. Mu the next time he saw him. Actually, when he thought about it carefully, it was not the first time Lu Yin had heard this. He felt like someone had said this to him before, but who was it? He could not remember. When Jiang Qingyue said this, he felt a sense of déjà vu. Not long after, Destiny's daughter and the others arrived. Lu Yin brought them to the back mountains of the Above the Sky sect and asked them to search for the whereabouts of the other two pearls. Star Sibyl followed them with a calm expression. Lu Yin was not in the mood to deal with her. Destiny's daughter and Bu Tian did not waste any time, and they began to use their divination techniques on the 11 pearls. Lu Yin had not cultivated Destiny's techniques, so he could not see what they were doing. Now that he thought about it, Destiny's techniques were not that mystical, and they were probably similar to rune lines and void god's power. Only those who had cultivated them could see this kind of power, and only those who had not cultivated them would find it mystical. However, this kind of power was definitely not that easy to cultivate, and not many people had cultivated it during the Above the Sky sect's era. Lu Yin had never thought of cultivating Destiny's techniques, as he had already been tainted by Destiny enough. If he cultivated Destiny's techniques, he was afraid that Destiny would directly descend upon him. He calmly watched. Chapter 2705. The 11 beads suddenly moved and formed a straight line that pointed in one direction. That was the 6th mainland. The beads then fell to the ground in a mess. How is it? Lu Yin asked. Bu Tian wiped the sweat off his forehead and looked at Fate Maiden. She waved her hand and the beads flew into her palm. There's a bead in that direction. That's the 6th mainland. I know. Lu Yin stared at her. I'm asking where the last bead is. She shook her head. We can't find it. Using fate, we can only find the closest bead. We either have to find it or destroy it. Otherwise, our divination will always find it. Lu Yin's head hurt and he looked at the 6th mainland. He also wanted to find that bead, but it was temporarily impossible. Unless he gathered a few progenitors and forcefully attacked the 6th mainland to snatch it, that was under the premise that he knew where the bead was. Help me calculate the exact location of that bead, Lu Yin instructed. Fate Maiden replied, we can only calculate the direction. If you want to find it, you have to bring either me or him along. Lu Yin put the beads away. Things were not going well, but there was nothing he could do about it. After all, this involved the everlasting race, which was humanity's greatest enemy. Lu Yin had them all stay in the Above the Sky sect, as he might have to go to the 6th mainland with them at any time. It was time for him to go to the void god spacetime, as he could not stay out forever. Before leaving, he made a trip to Xinwu continent to confirm that the passage was unobstructed. He also chatted with Wuxia about Shi. Wuxia had never heard of this before, so he told Lu Yin to look for Mr. Mu. Lu Yin was helpless, as he would have done so long ago if he could. Lu Yin was more concerned about the group of half-ancestors, as he did not know which one would break through to the progenitor realm first. He hoped that it would be Lu Bujing Kai or the others. Lu Yin had not left the void god spacetime for long. For cultivators, it was normal for them to go into seclusion for thousands of years. However, Lu Yin felt that it was too long as he only went into seclusion for a few days each time. After returning to the Red Domain, Lu Yin investigated Qingfen's interrogation. He had specifically instructed Ning Ran not to torture Qingfen anymore, as Qingfen had already told her the location of knowledgeable stream. During this investigation, Ning Ran did not make a move on Qingfen. However, Qingfen's days were not easy either. His greatest torment came from the people who left the village. In addition to Qingfen, during the days when he went to the hyperspace in the Three Monarchs universe, Ning Ran led the team to catch several more spies. They were all small characters and didn't have much significance. Half a month after Lu Yin returned to the Red Domain, someone came to visit him, surprising him. Mu Shikong, chief of the Sky Mirror Department, Gon has come to visit the Red region. A loud voice echoed. Guan Lao de Yu Pai and the others were shocked. Lu Yin raised his head and his expression turned ugly. He had actually found this place. Manor Lord Gon had already invited him to the Heaven Reflection Manor in Wood Spacetime several times, but he had rejected every single one of them. He had never expected that Manor Lord Gon would actually come in person. The more sincere he was, the less Lu Yin wanted to go. Before he showed up, Heaven's Reflection Manor's situation wasn't good, and he hadn't heard of Manor Master Gon working so hard for anything. Now that he was so eager to invite him to the Wood Dimension, there must be something wrong. No matter what, he couldn't go. However, he still had to meet her. Lu Yin personally walked out to greet Gon. Junior is Xianxia. I didn't expect Senior to be here. Please forgive me for not coming out to greet you. Lu Yin arrived outside the Red Domain and greeted the man politely. He saw an elegant man with a slight smile on his face, and he didn't seem like a powerhouse at all. However, this person was Gon. Gon beamed at Lu Yin. Manor Master Xianxia, you're too polite. I'm sorry to disturb you. Lu Yin smiled. It's an honor for Senior to visit the Red Domain. This way, please. Gon nodded and entered the Red Domain with Lu Yin. Within the Red Domain, cultivators bowed and paid their respects to Manor Master Gon. Gon had seen this scene many times, and powerhouses were respected wherever they went. He didn't care about these people, and the only one worthy of his attention was Lu Yin. The two exchanged some pleasantries before Lu Yin led Gon into the Red Domain. The cities in the Red Domain were dilapidated, but the giants had once lived there. They had experienced the War of Extermination and they had been attacked by Qinlu. For a cultivator like Gon, such a place was more comfortable than a scenic location. Heaven's Reflection Manor has been around for many years, and its history isn't much shorter than that of the Six Directions Association. However, there hasn't been much of an effect over the years. You should know why, Brother Xianxia. Gon then looked at Lu Yin. Do you mind if I call you brother? It seems that Su Heng and the others call you that as well. Lu Yin smiled. It's my honor to be valued by Manor Master Gon. Aha, I'm already calling you brother and you still call yourself junior? Gon laughed. Lu Yin looked at Gon and addressed him seriously. Brother. Ah, that's more like it. Speaking of which, there should be quite a few people from the Six Directions Association who call you brother. Su Heng and I aren't the only powerhouses here. What does Qinlu call you? This question made Lu Yin's heart skip a beat, but he maintained a calm expression. Senior Qinlu is a serious person. He made me the acting manor master of the Three Sovereigns Spacetime Manor, so he always calls me Xianxia. Gon nodded and didn't dwell on the topic. The two continued walking through the Red Domain. If there comes a day when the humans can't stop the everlasting tribe, then what happened to these cities today will be humanity's future. Brother, do you think that's possible? Lu Yin lowered his voice. Yes. That's why I came to find you. I hope that you can come to the Wood Spacetime to help. Spies can cause too much harm to the human race, and I'm curious why you keep refusing. Is it because Musan invited you to the Wood Spacetime? Gon asked. Lu Yin smiled bitterly. Of course not. Senior Musan was very enthusiastic and he even managed to invite Senior Woodcarver. I'm flattered, but the main thing is, he was in a difficult position. Gon said seriously, just tell me if you have any problems. I'll definitely solve them if I can. Lu Yin looked at Gon and met his gaze. Brother, there are some things that I'll be direct about. Gon nodded. Just say it. Lu Yin said, I don't want to get involved in power struggles. Gon's eyes flashed. Lu Yin continued. At first, I didn't want to go to the wood spacetime because you basically took over 3 different spacetimes and I was too busy. But now, you should be aware of what happened in the hyperspace. The Yu family invited me, but they used me as an excuse to lure out the maintainer and fight for power in the hyperspace. They even suspected that I framed the Yu family, so they threw me into the 3 monarchs spacetime to investigate someone that even Lord Luo couldn't find. If Senior Qinlu hadn't broken through to become an extreme powerhouse and trusted me, I might not have had such an easy time in the 3 monarchs spacetime. All of this was done by the Yu family and they also tried their best to invite me. Brother, this has already happened once and I don't want to experience it a second time. It doesn't feel good to be used by others. Gon's expression was calm. He stepped forward calmly and walked past Lu Yin with his back facing him. Do you think that I want to use you too? I can see that you're sincere but I have my concerns, Lu Yin said helplessly. Gon sighed. The Yu family is at fault. They made someone like you who is good at capturing spies feel apprehensive. They encouraged the spies' arrogance. Lu Yin didn't say anything and just looked at Gon calmly. Gon turned around and smiled. I understand your concerns. Alright, I won't force you. Whether you go to the wood spacetime or not, I'll reserve the position of acting prefecture master for you. If you need any help, just contact me. After a while, you'll see the difference between the wood spacetime and the hyperspace. With that, Gon left without further persuasion. Lu Yin relaxed. Although Gon seemed sincere and it was possible that he really wanted to use him to deal with the spies, Lu Yin had to be wary of Mr. Daheng. Gon had also mentioned Qinlu, so Lu Yin had to be on guard. Logically speaking, Mr. Daheng shouldn't have linked him to Qinlu, but it was always right to be cautious. Moreover, if he went to the wood spacetime, Senior Woodcarver might see him, which would be the most troublesome. How would he explain his disguise? He couldn't go to the wood spacetime. After Gon left, Void arrived and was surprised that Lu Yin had rejected Prefecture Master Gon. Lu Yin repeated the same reason and Void sympathized and patted Lu Yin's shoulder. You're unlucky to encounter such a situation. Alright, if Gon invites you again, I'll help you reject him. Not just him, but if the Reincarnation Spacetime and the Lost Clan invite you, I'll help you reject them. Lu Yin was grateful. After staying in the Red Domain for a while, Overseer found Lu Yin and brought Bai Qian's message, asking him to look for resources in the Void God Spacetime. These resources were what he Ran had asked Lu Yin to help her buy from the Scenic Cloud clan and the Void Yang clan. Since Bai Qian wanted to buy them as well, it was obvious that it was for Zijing's research. Lu Yin agreed without hesitation. Zijing's research was very important, and he hoped that it would be successful. If Dimensional Master could obtain them, then so could he. Dimensional Master had been schemed against by the Yu family, and his strength had been greatly reduced. Lu Yin considered focusing on the hyperspace. The only problem was that Dimensional Master's strength could not be estimated. If Dimensional Master Shaoyin was afraid of him, then he should be comparable to the 3 sovereigns of the reincarnation spacetime. Lu Yin could not see through Dimensional Master Gon's strength. Dimensional Master and Lord Luo were the 2 people that Lu Yin wanted to understand the most. Dimensional Master could not be understood, but Lord Luo knew too much and there were too many contradictions. On this day, Lu Yin sent someone to contact Lu Yin and ask him to head to the 3 sovereigns spacetime. Lu Yin knew that Qinlu wanted to talk to him about something and he hurried over. Dimensional Master is already suspicious of me. This was the first thing Qinlu said to Lu Yin. Lu Yin's heart skipped a beat. He was not prepared to deal with Dimensional Master Gon, and he was even less prepared to expose himself in the 6th direction meet. What's going on? Qinlu explained the situation and Lu Yin understood. Everything started from the attack on the Energy Research Team's forbidden area. Not many people knew about the Energy Research Team's location where Zijing had been. The cultivators from the drifting cloud space had always been under surveillance, and the hyperspace knew who they had come into contact with and how strong they were. To be able to break through the Energy Research Team and take away drifting cloud space was definitely not something that the cultivators from the drifting cloud space could do. Aside from them, the only other culprits were the people from the 3 sovereign spacetimes Emohi Courtyard, the Yu family, and at most the Everlasting Race. Yesterday I made a mistake. My public account is Author Drifting Wind. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2706. Wei Zhu confirmed that the Yu family did not make a move, and the 3 Monarchs universe was not suspected because of their cooperation with He Ran. But it turned out that Luo Jun was really cooperating with the Yu family. Wei Zhu naturally suspected Luo Jun and met Luo Jun in person. Luo Jun had already denied taking action against the energy research team, but other than Luo Jun, only the experts from Mo Courtyard knew that location. Qin Lu knew. Qin Lu was also an extremely strong individual who had the ability to destroy the energy research team. Later on, when Master Wei was fighting with the Yu family, he broke into the Elder's laboratory and stole the black energy source. This was also something that only an extremely strong individual could do. Lord Luo assured Master Wei that it has nothing to do with me, but I can see that Master Wei still suspects me. Qin Lu said. Lu Yin fell into deep thought. The maintainer did not care about the attack on the energy research team, and he might not even care about Lu Yun or the black energy source. What he cared about was the entire process, especially Xiaohai's disappearance. The maintainer was not stupid and he should be able to connect the dots. The Yu clan was very smart, but so was Master Wei. Being suspected by such a person, it was no wonder that Qin Lu was afraid. If you didn't do it, then let him investigate. Qin Lu frowned. I'm afraid he'll find out about the Hall of Freedom. Lu Yin's heart sank. Right, although Qin Lu had not acted against hyperspace, his relationship with the Hall of Freedom could not be investigated. If Vader was determined to investigate Qin Lu, then he would definitely be able to find out about Qin Li's relationship with the Hall of Freedom, as well as the Bai clan's situation. Luo Jun did not investigate, but Wei Zhu was different. He did not trust Qin Lu. Once Qin Li's relationship with the Temple of Repose was discovered, he would no longer be able to stay in hyperspace. Lu Yin rubbed his head. Nothing was flawless and there was no such thing as a perfect plan. Someone was bound to discover a flaw. He knew that his actions in the Six Paths Guild would be exposed sooner or later, but he didn't wish for it to happen so soon. At least wait until he solves the Three Monarch Universe or Ultra Universe. Qin Lu did not disturb Lu Yin. He had a headache as well. He had not expected to be targeted by Master Wei. He could only blame himself for breaking through at the wrong time. If he was still a demi-monarch, Master Wei would not have targeted him because he did not have the ability to do those things. He glanced at Lu Yin and a cold glint flashed across his eyes. It was all because of this brat's reckless behavior that he had been forced into a corner. Lu Yin sensed Qin Li's gaze and frowned. You're blaming me. Qin Lu said coldly, you and I are working together. You should have considered me in everything you do. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have told you the location. Lu Yin stared at Qin Lu. Because of you, I've also been targeted by the Hall of Freedom. If we weren't working together, I wouldn't have asked senior brother to help you break through. Working together comes with a price. You've been targeted by His Highness? Qin Lu was stunned. Lu Yin replied, I'm not sure. Mu Shikong's Heaven's Mirror Manor has invited me several times, and Manor Lord Gon even personally went to the Red Domain to look for me. I don't know if this has anything to do with Mr. Daheng. Qin Lu was irritated. On one hand, he was being targeted by Master Wei. On the other hand, he was being targeted by the Hall of Freedom. If either side made a mistake, he would be exposed. When that time came, where would he find shelter? Even though he wouldn't be hunted down due to his identity as an extreme expert, his reputation was completely ruined. The universe was vast, but even the eyes of extreme experts could only see the Six Directions Guild and its parallel spacetime. If they lost this place, what else was there? Then what do we do now? Qin Li's heart was in a mess. He was not afraid but uneasy. Lu Yin thought for a moment. Master Vader only has his eyes on you, but he hasn't confirmed that you're involved. Besides, this matter really has nothing to do with you. I'll go and cause him some trouble. What are you going to do? Qin Lu asked. Lu Yin said, don't worry, I won't let you be exposed. Your identity is useful for me to obtain the Three Monarch spacetime. Have you forgotten that my goal is the Three Monarch spacetime? Whether it's Lord Luo or Master Wei, they can't stop me. Qin Lu exhaled. I can't do anything. Lu Yin nodded. Yes, you can't do anything. Since Master Wei has his eyes on you, I believe that he has a way to track your whereabouts. Even Lord Luo might not be able to see through this method, so don't do anything. Lu Yun is out and it's time for him to take revenge. Qin Lu looked at Lu Yin. He didn't know the relationship between Lu Yun and Lu Yin, but now it seemed that Lu Yun also belonged to this person. No matter what, Lu Yun was still an extreme expert. Even if he was crippled, even if he was the weakest extreme expert, he was still an extreme expert. This person's power was constantly rising, and the sect above heaven would definitely surpass the three monarchs spacetime. Thinking of this, Qin Li's mood improved. There are some things that I want to remind you of. It's up to you whether you want to listen or not. Qin Li suddenly looked at Lu Yin and said. Lu Yin looked back at him. You can seek the three monarchs spacetime, but don't have any ideas about the Six Direction Society. Qin Li said. The corners of Lu Yin's mouth curled up. Don't worry, I'm not stupid. I just want to replace the three monarchs spacetime and join the Six Direction Society. Qin Li nodded. It's good. From the beginning to the end, Qin Li didn't know about the conflict between Lu Yin and the Six Direction Society, nor did he know that Lu Yin's Lu family was exiled by the reincarnation spacetime. He had just broken through to the extreme expert realm and was always in the three monarchs spacetime, so he didn't know about those things. If he had known about this back then, he wouldn't have cooperated with Lu Yin even if he was beaten to death. For someone like him who was born in the Six Direction Society, the Six Direction Society was a colossus. To be enemies with such a colossus was unimaginable even for an extreme expert. Lu Yin left and returned to the Eternal Kingdom. Then he went back to the sect above heaven and found Master Xian. He brought the black energy source with him and then found Lu Yun. It's time to take action. I'll give you a chance to take revenge on hyperspace. Lu Yun raised his head. His previously crippled limbs were gradually able to move again. When he heard Lu Yun's words, his eyes were filled with excitement, hiding an unforgettable hatred. Thank you, Sect Master. The drifting cloud space was still the same as before. This was a parallel universe that hyperspace had conquered, and it was also the frontline battlefield against the Eternals. The cultivators of the drifting cloud space had long since become numb to the slaughter in outer space. As the white beam of light swept past and pierced through a half-ancestor corpse king, the battlefield slowly came to a stop. There were many battles here, but the scale was not large. Very few extreme experts appeared here. With the bestowment art embedded in his body, Qiu Zhan's expression was grave as he stared into outer space with a deep gaze. A woman followed behind him. Her light yellow hair covered her eyes, and when she saw that the battle outside had stopped, she complained, "Why did you activate the bestowment art? Master Wei hopes that these cultivators of the drifting cloud space will exhaust more of their energy." Qiu Zhan coldly replied, "I know what I'm doing." The woman looked at Qiu Zhan. She wanted to say something, but in the end she did not. Master Wei had sent her to keep an eye on this battlefield. Since Lu Yun had disappeared, it was very likely that he had returned to the drifting cloud space. Hyperspace had been searching for him all this time, but it was too difficult to find an extreme expert. They could only send the cultivators of the drifting cloud space to their deaths and constantly capture them until Lu Yun could not help but come out. To hyperspace, the cultivators of the drifting cloud space were not of much value as long as they could find Lu Yun. Qiu Zhan naturally understood Master Wei's intentions, but he was the commander of this battlefield. His goal was to defeat the enemy, not to send his own people to their deaths. Even if they were cultivators of the drifting cloud space, as long as they fought under his command, they were his people. They were people who had defeated the Eternals, and he would not send them to their deaths. The woman turned and left. Qiu Zhan frowned. Was she going to report to Master Wei again? He did not know how much longer he could stay on this battlefield. Far away, Lu Yin and Lu Yun appeared. As he looked at the familiar drifting cloud space, Lu Yun became excited. This was his heavens, and he had dreamed of returning. This time we're just causing trouble for Master Wei by letting you take away a group of cultivators from the drifting cloud space. This is far from enough to help you reclaim the drifting cloud space. You should know how powerful hyperspace is. With our current strength, we can't do it. If you don't want to be captured again, then listen to me. Lu Yun took a deep breath and suppressed his excitement. I know. Don't worry. Soon the two of them saw the vessel for the art of gift. Here we go again. Lu Yin looked at the huge object in the distance. Last time he had taken away Ame. This time he wanted to take away all the cultivators from the drifting cloud space and cause trouble for Master Wei. This move would definitely anger Master Wei, but so what? Lu Yun's disappearance had already angered Master Wei, and the results would not be any worse than this. Soon enough, Lu Yin and Lu Yun infiltrated the vessel. With the Yu family's help, it was easy for Lu Yin to enter the vessel. Even though the Yu family had been stripped of their authority, their understanding of the vessel was unparalleled. Lu Yin did not want to attract Qiu Zhan's attention, as it would be troublesome if an extreme powerhouse made a move. Lu Yin had walked through the huge vessel more than once, and it was easy for him to find the location of the cultivators from the drifting cloud space. He had also taken Ame there. When Lu Yin brought Lu Yun there, he found that there was not a single cultivator from the drifting cloud space. They should have moved further in. Hyperspace is afraid that I'll save them, Lu Yun said with a gloomy expression. Lu Yin had no choice but to lead Lu Yun around the vessel. When they reached a certain location, Lu Yin stopped. We can't go any further. There's a hyperanalysis mode there. It should be there, Lu Yun said, as he also knew about the hyperanalysis mode. In this vessel, the hyperanalysis mode could only be used at the most important part of the vessel, and the other should be where the cultivators from the drifting cloud space were imprisoned. It was easy to break through the hyperanalysis mode, but Qiu Zhan would instantly detect it. If there's no other way, we'll take them away when the war starts, Lu Yun said. Lu Yin shook his head. Depending on the scale of the war, the number of cultivators from the drifting cloud space will be different. You can't guarantee that you'll take them all away. After thinking about it, Lu Yin decided that there was no need to rush. When the war started, he would think of a way to use the Corpse King to destroy the hyperanalysis mode. If that still did not work, then he would have to take them by force, but he had to confirm their location first. At this time, a group of people walked out of the hyperanalysis mode area. The leader was a woman with long pale yellow hair that covered her eyes. Her expression was cold and she exuded a sinister aura. Behind her were more than 10 cultivators from the drifting cloud space, all of them beautiful women. When Lu Yin saw this, he vaguely guessed what was going on. Lu Yun's eyes were filled with killing intent. There's no need to rush. Let's follow them and confirm their location. If it doesn't work, then we'll just take them by force, Lu Yin said. Lu Yun nodded and the two followed. Chapter 2707. They walked for almost an hour. The gift vessel was huge, but the woman wasn't in a hurry. She kept walking, turning here and there as if she was avoiding something. Finally, she came to a place where the vessel's control unit was located. Lu Yin frowned. He had thought that these women were brought to some higher up of the hyperspace dimension. They were very beautiful and their usefulness was self-evident. But now that didn't seem to be the case. This place didn't look like a romantic place, and the distant unit was still operating with a rumbling sound. Something was strange. The woman seemed to be avoiding something, which was even stranger. Lu Yin and Lu Yun weren't in a hurry and just waited. The next day the battle began. Lu Yin and Lu Yun didn't go out and continued to wait. The woman didn't leave either, and she seemed to be communicating with someone through her glasses. They waited for another 2 days. During this time, one of the women from the hyperspace dimension suddenly rushed out, but the woman easily subdued her. If you dare to run again, I'll kill 100 cultivators from the hyperspace dimension as punishment. The woman's expression was fierce and her hair fluttered in the wind. Her eyes were filled with murderous intent as she looked at the women from the hyperspace dimension. 2 more days passed and one day the woman's lips curled up. You're finally here. Lu Yin and Lu Yun looked at each other and calmed down. Not long after, 2 figures entered. This place was dimly lit and there were parts operating all around, making rumbling sounds. Few people came here and it wasn't easy to find them. The woman smiled when she saw them and her fierce expression became unusually gentle. Mr. Zhu, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Of the 2 people who came, one was a middle-aged man wearing the blue and white battle uniform of hyperspace, but he looked out of place. His temperament was more like a businessman and his eyes were sharp. Behind him was a young man with an arrogant face. As soon as he came in, he looked at the women of drifting cloud space with a burning gaze. I'm really sorry for the delay, Mr. Zhu apologized. The woman looked at the young man behind Mr. Zhu. And this is? The young man looked at the woman. Zhu Yi. He was surprised. The young master of the Zhu Chamber of Commerce? Zhu Yi was proud. Mr. Zhu replied, that's right. The woman's smile became even more enthusiastic. So it's young Master Zhu. I didn't expect that young Master Zhu would come in person for a small demi-human transaction. Mr. Zhu smiled and said, of course not. It's just that when I came here I coincidentally bumped into young Master. Young Master was curious so he followed me. You don't mind, right? The woman smiled and said, how could that be? It's my honor to have young Master Zhu here. Let's start the transaction. Mr. Zhu nodded and walked towards the women of the drifting cloud space. Zhu Yi had already walked over. He stopped in front of a woman from the drifting cloud space and lifted her chin. The woman turned her head angrily. Zhu Yi sneered and slapped the woman to the ground. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. The women of the drifting cloud space cursed angrily. Mr. Zhu smiled faintly. He didn't treat those women from the drifting cloud space as humans at all. The woman came to Mr. Zhu's side. "Why is young Master Zhu here? Is it really on the way?" Mr. Zhu said in a low voice. "It is indeed on the way. However, this trip will be enough for the Zhu family to soar." The woman was puzzled. Mr. Zhu couldn't help but smile. He said proudly, "Young master, I got into Yixing." The lady's expression changed. She was shocked. "Young Master Zhu entered the Yixing school? Is this for real?" Zhu Yi heard this from the front, and his lips curled up into a smug smile. He grabbed another woman from the drifting cloud space and pulled her closer. "The quality is not bad, especially the horn on her forehead. Interesting." Mr. Zhu laughed. "If young master likes them, then take them back. Don't sell them, just take them as a gift." The woman quickly smiled. "If young Master Zhu likes them, then I'll give them to young master as a gift." Mr. Zhu was surprised. "Being so generous isn't your style." The woman walked towards Zhu Yi, almost leaning on him. "Not everyone has the chance to curry favor with someone from Yixing, don't you think so? Young Master Zhu." Mr. Zhu wasn't surprised. The young master had entered the Yixing school, which was the dream of many in the Six Paths Association. It was enough to make the Zhu family Chamber of Commerce soar. Once the news reached the family, the hostile chambers of commerce would definitely tremble in fear. Zhu Yi laughed and wrapped his arm around the woman's waist. "Not only do I want them, you're not bad either." He lowered his head and kissed her. The woman pouted coquettishly, her previous coldness completely gone. Lu Yin couldn't stand it anymore and stepped forward. "Gentlemen, there are others here. Please restrain yourselves." The three were shocked and looked at Lu Yin. Mr. Zhu looked at the woman. "Who is he?" The woman stared blankly at Lu Yin, her gaze fierce. "Who are you?" "I've ordered that no one is allowed to enter. You're courting death." Zhu Yi didn't care and was only surprised for a moment before turning back to look at the woman from Lu Yun's space, as if Lu Yin was just an ant. However, another person appeared in front of him. It was Lu Yun. Zhu Yi raised a brow. Lu Yun had not revealed his progenitor's aura, so Zhu Yi wasn't clear about his strength. Another one. "You didn't do your job well." Mr. Zhu glared at the woman. "Who are they?" The woman glared at Lu Yin, her eyes filled with bone-deep killing intent. She had just curried favor with young Master Zhu, but this person had ruined everything. Lu Yin looked at the woman and then at Mr. Zhu. "I really didn't expect that there would be such a business at the front lines. They chose this place and deliberately avoided certain areas. Qiu Zhan probably didn't know." The woman's gaze turned cold as she raised her hand and shot out a beam of light at Lu Yin. Neither Lu Yin nor Lu Yun had revealed their strength at this moment, so the woman didn't know that she was facing an extreme powerhouse. If she had known, she wouldn't have dared to do so. The woman used red energy, which was quite powerful and second only to a half-progenitor's white energy. She thought that she could kill Lu Yin in one strike. However, the red energy suddenly stopped, and a cloud-like energy appeared around it, accompanied by a terrifying progenitor's aura. The pressure was like the sky. The woman, Mr. Zhu, and Zhu Yi felt as if the sky was collapsing. The incomparable shock almost caused their minds to collapse. Zhu Yi looked at the infinitely tall Lu Yun in front of him and turned pale. An extreme powerhouse? The woman couldn't believe it. How could an extreme powerhouse appear out of nowhere? Wait, she stared at Lu Yun. "You're Lu Yun." "Lord Lu Yun," the woman from Lu Yun's space called out excitedly. "Lord Lu Yun." Lu Yun took a deep breath and looked at the women. "Sorry I'm late." Lu Yin hadn't expected Lu Yun to apologize to these women. He was a progenitor. He had never seen a progenitor apologize to these ant-like weaklings. It had to be said that Lu Yun's apology had completely changed Lu Yin's impression of him. Lu Yin thought of the blood progenitor, the symbol progenitor, and the ancestors who had protected the human race and fought against the Eternals. In their hearts they felt guilty for not being able to save anyone. This was their responsibility, the righteousness in their hearts. Lu Yin finally understood why the cultivators from Lu Yun's space were doing everything they could to save Lu Yun. Lu Yun's position in their hearts was no less than the blood progenitors in the Sixth Mainland. Lu Yun was their hope of survival. Mr. Zhu trembled and knelt on the ground. This was the only posture one could maintain when facing an extreme powerhouse. The Zhou clan's Chamber of Commerce was very large, but it wasn't large enough for Mr. Zhou to come into contact with an extreme powerhouse. The woman collapsed on the ground. She had never imagined that Lu Yun would appear here. Her goal had been to urge Qiuzhan to send the people from Lu Yun's space to their deaths to force Lu Yun to appear. Now Lu Yun had appeared at the most unexpected time. It's all over. Lu Yun looked at Zhu Yi. Whether it was Mr. Zhu or this malicious woman, both of them were in despair. Only Zhu Yi seemed to be panicking, but he seemed to have some sort of confidence, even if it was barely enough to keep him from kneeling. Lu Yun also looked at Zhu Yi. Kneel. Zhu Yi trembled, his entire body almost going limp from fear, but he stubbornly held on. You can't do anything to me. Lu Yun's gaze turned cold. Why? Zhu Yi's teeth chattered as he struggled to speak. I work for Yixing. Lu Yun looked at Lu Yun. Lu Yun's eyes narrowed. He had indeed seen Yixing when he had merged with the consciousness of some people from Six Direction Society, but it had only been for a brief moment. He didn't really understand the man. Yixing has the qualifications to make you fearless against extreme powerhouses? Zhu Yi's voice trembled. No one in Six Direction Society would act against Yixing's people. Yixing has never interfered with Six Direction Society's affairs, so you shouldn't kill me. Did Yixing ask you to sell the demi-humans? Lu Yun asked in a low voice. Zhu Yi gulped. No one would act against Yixing's people. I'll pretend that I didn't see you today. Your matters have nothing to do with me. Take care of him, Lu Yun said. Zhu Yi was shocked. You can't kill me. I work for Yixing. Lu Yun didn't care about this. Even if Zhu Yi was a Grand Empyrean subordinate, he still had to act. Zhu Yi's actions had already caused him to be killed. Mr. Zhu and the woman knelt on the ground, not daring to make a sound. This was the proper attitude when facing an extreme powerhouse. Lu Yun casually waved his hand, intending to erase Zhu Yi. However, this attack didn't harm Zhu Yi at all. A pagoda-like barrier appeared around Zhu Yi's body and enveloped him, allowing Lu Yun's power to pass through it. Lu Yun was flabbergasted and attacked again, but the result was the same. He didn't harm Zhu Yi at all. Zhu Yi's heart trembled. He had thought that he was going to die, but when he saw that Lu Yun's 2 attacks had missed, he recalled what his guide had told him when he had first joined Yixing. Yixing doesn't provoke enemies, but he doesn't fear them either. Even an extreme powerhouse would find it difficult to kill Yixing's people. At that time, Zhu Yi had thought that this was just a threat, using Yixing to threaten an extreme powerhouse. But now it seemed that this symbol that Yixing had given him was a power vessel that could ignore extreme powerhouses. Zhu Yi grew excited when he thought about this. At this time, Lu Yun attacked for the 3rd time. This time he was completely focused on dealing with a powerhouse of the same level, but he still couldn't touch Zhu Yi. Chapter 2708. This scene shocked Lu Yun as well as Mr. Zhu and the woman. They finally understood why those people were trying so hard to get into Yixing. Once they entered Yixing, their status would change drastically. So that's how it was. Yixing's people could actually ignore extreme experts. Impossible. Lu Yun was at a loss. A mere ant could actually ignore his attack. How was this possible? Zhu Yi laughed maniacally. So what if you're an extreme powerhouse? Lu Yun, right? I remember you. If you dare attack Yixing's people, they won't let you off. Just you wait. With that, he turned to leave. He still hadn't gotten used to being able to ignore extreme powerhouses, and he hadn't even gotten used to the change in his mentality. It was like an ordinary person suddenly becoming an emperor, and it was hard to get used to it in a short period of time. He just wanted to leave. Young master, take me with you, Mr. Zhu begged. The woman also begged, Young Master Zhu, please take me with you. I beg you. Zhu Yi didn't care about them at all, and he glanced at the woman coldly. It's all because of you, trash. With that, he tore through the void and left. Suddenly, a hand passed through the barrier and landed on Zhu Ye's shoulder. Zhu Ye's body stiffened, and the arrogance on his face turned sluggish. He slowly turned around and saw a face with a mocking smile and a look of surprise. It's that person? Lu Yun pressed down on Zhu Ye's shoulder and watched with interest as Zhu Ye's expression changed from joy and arrogance to fear and despair. Did I say you could leave? Zhu Yi was stunned. This person had touched him. He had touched him. He looked at the barrier and it was still there, but this person's hand had passed through it and landed on his shoulder. How could this be? You. Zhu Yi was stunned. Lu Yin found it funny and looked at the barrier in amazement. Good stuff, it's not bound by space. It's a strengthened version of the Void Wanderer. Aside from that tree, I've never seen anything that can travel through space. He then raised a hand and placed it between Zhu Ye's eyebrows. Here. He then pointed and Zhu Ye's forehead split open. No blood flowed out and only an eye fell out. It looked at Lu Yin in horror like an abandoned pet. Zhu Yi took a few steps back and the barrier around his body slowly disappeared. He fell to the ground as if he had fallen from heaven to hell. Lu Yin closed his eyes. What is it? This was an eye. It was as if the eye had become a spirit. There were tentacles under the eye sockets. When Lu Yin tried to grab it, it actually tried to use its tentacles to escape, but how could that be possible? Could walk through space like a tree, but Lu Yin could do the same. However, Lu Yun and the others couldn't see Lu Yin grabbing the eye. The eye had always existed within the void. That was a direction that even progenitor realm experts might not be able to see. They only saw that the light barrier around Zhu Ye's body had disappeared. Now was not the time to study the eye, and Lu Yin held it tightly as he looked at Zhu Yi. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly looked up and felt a powerful force descend upon him from a progenitor realm corpse king. The battle began, and a few progenitor realm corpse kings appeared to attack the bearers of the bestow technique. One of the attacks just so happened to land on top of Lu Yin's head. The vessel was penetrated and a terrifying force streaked past Lu Yin. Not only did it break the vessel, but it also caused Lu Yun's progenitor power to leak out. Just as Qiu Zhan was about to charge into space, the bearer of the bestow technique alerted him that a powerhouse had appeared. He looked at the number displayed on the frame. 6 million. A powerhouse corpse king had charged into the vessel? He didn't hesitate to use the black energy source to charge out. Lu Yin frowned, exposed. Snatch. Lu Yun casually killed Zhu Yi and the others, and Lu Yin took the girls to Mount Supreme. You hold Qiu Zhan back. As soon as he finished speaking, a black energy blasted over. Lu Yun raised his head. Long time no see, Qiu Zhan. Qiu Zhan's pupils shrank when he heard Lu Yun's voice. It's you. With a loud bang, the bestow technique was destroyed once again. Qiu Zhan shouted, release the bestow technique and use the energy source to trap the corpse king. He then charged at Lu Yun. You've joined the Eternals? Lu Yun didn't explain. At this moment the Eternals had attacked and the corpse king had also attacked. No one would believe that the Eternals hadn't helped Lu Yun. On the other side, Lu Yin rushed into super analysis mode and directly triggered the alarm of the entire bestow technique. Qiu Zhan looked over. There's more? Qiu Zhan, it's time to pay back the debt from before. Lu Yun shouted, and streaks of cloud-like attacks shot out in all directions from the bestow technique. The bestow technique kept cracking and the platforms were extinguished one after another. Every time a platform was extinguished, the energy source's interference with the outside world would decrease. Qiu Zhan was furious. Lu Yun, you've joined the Eternals. On the other side, Lu Yin hurriedly transmitted to Lu Yun, telling him not to destroy the bestow technique. The Eternals were attacking, and if this thing was damaged, the Eternals would very likely take the bestow technique for themselves. Lu Yun was startled awake as he had forgotten about this matter. However, Lu Yun's merciless attack on the bestow technique convinced Qiu Zhan that Lu Yun had joined the Eternals. Even if the ultra spacetime technique was the bestow technique's enemy, so was the Eternals. Lu Yun wouldn't have destroyed the bestow technique. Lu Yun had attacked in anger without thinking too much. Now that Lu Yin had reminded him, he pretended to destroy the bestow technique without causing too much damage. His goal was only to delay Qiu Zhan. Lu Yin also found the bestow technique's cultivators. Along the way, some people who used white energy sources tried to attack Lu Yin, but Lu Yin pushed them aside. Lu Yin didn't kill them as he didn't care what happened to the drifting cloud realm. For now, he needed them to help the drifting cloud realm hold back the Eternals. To the bestow technique, both the ultra spacetime technique and the Eternals were enemies. However, it was precisely because these two enemies kept each other in check that the bestow technique had a chance to breathe. Lu Yin took out Mount Supreme and Xiaomei walked out from within. Everyone follow me. Lord Lu Yun is here to save you. Xiaomei had quite a bit of prestige among these people, and many of them recognized her. When they heard her say this, they didn't hesitate to follow her into Mount Supreme. They didn't even consider whether this was a trap or not, as there was nothing worse than being trapped here. The bestow technique shook again and Lu Yin looked outside through the crack. The progenitor realm corpse king's power had been offset by the shrinking energy source. It was Nia who Lu Yin had seen in action before. He couldn't delay any longer. He had to let Qiu Zhan deal with Nia, or the bestow technique would be finished. Lu Yin attacked Qiu Zhan with a black energy from afar. Qiu Zhan was shocked and hurriedly retreated. Who is it? Lu Yin hid his appearance and met Lu Yun. We can't delay any longer or Master Wei will come. Let's go. The two tore through the void and left. Qiu Zhan wanted to stop them, but Nia was outside and it was impossible for him to deal with three of them. He could only watch as the two left. Qiu Zhan, who was free, dealt with Nia with all his strength. The stalemate didn't last long and Master Wei's arrival ended the battle. The moment Master Wei arrived, he used his materialized consciousness to lock Nia in place. The bestow technique shot out a beam of light and blasted Nia into the distance. He wanted to continue attacking, but a red godly power appeared on Nia's body. This power stopped Master Wei in his tracks. Normally he could destroy Nia, but Nia with godly power was very difficult to deal with. This was also the reason why Master Wei didn't take action at the front lines. Once he took action, the Eternals would have a corresponding method. If the Six Direction sect was willing, they could take the Eternals by surprise and destroy many of their forces. However, no one in the Six Direction sect wanted to be cannon fodder against the Eternals in the bottomless abyss. Master Wei watched Nia leave, and as for the remaining corpse kings, his materialized consciousness killed them. Qiu Zhan came behind Master Wei and bowed respectfully. "My lord." Master Wei's back was facing Qiu Zhan as he looked at the bestow technique of gift. At this moment the bestow technique of gift was in tatters. Master Wei's gaze swept across the area and landed on the spot where Lu Yin and the others had been. They were exposed here. Qiu Zhan respectfully replied, "Yes." Master Wei looked at the surrounding traces. One is Lu Yun and the other used a black energy source. "Did you see who it was?" Qiu Zhan shook his head. "This subordinate is useless. I didn't see clearly." Master Wei walked through the ruins. Around him all the people from beyond space-time bowed and didn't dare to move. "Why are they here?" Master Wei asked. Qiu Zhan replied, "This subordinate doesn't know either. I'm still investigating. We were exposed because the corpse kings attacked here, causing Lu Yun's power to leak out. This means that Lu Yun used the power of an extreme powerhouse here. However, who he used it against and why he used it are still unknown. What we can confirm is that Lu Yun should have sided with the Eternals. Otherwise it wouldn't be so coincidental that Nia attacked. Lu Yun was also merciless against the bestow. He wasn't afraid that the bestow would be damaged and cause the flowing cloud space to lose the war. He's already sold the flowing cloud space to the Eternals. There's no rush to come to a conclusion. Let's investigate first, Master Wei said. Qiu Zhan bowed again and retreated. On the other side, Lu Yin and Lu Yun returned to the Eternal Kingdom. Lu Yin released the people from the flowing cloud space. Like the Thunder Sealing clan, they would live here in the future and couldn't be brought to the Fifth Mainland for the time being. When all the cultivators of the flowing cloud space came out, the first thing they saw was Lu Yun. Everyone was ecstatic and bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Lord Lu Yun." "Greetings, Lord Lu Yun." "Greetings, Lord Lu Yun." Lu Yun smiled from the bottom of his heart. How many years had he been tortured? The people of the flowing cloud space had been tortured as well. Now he had finally saved a group of people. With this group of people, the flowing cloud space would never be destroyed. Lu Yin didn't interrupt Lu Yun's conversation and went underground alone to meet Mu Jun. Mu Jun saw Lu Yin arrive. What happened outside? An extremely strong powerhouse attacked here. "It's nothing. I brought Lu Yun here," Lu Yin said. Mu Jun didn't react. "Who?" Lu Yin said calmly. "Lu Yun. You should have heard of him." Mu Jun couldn't believe it. The Lu Yun that was imprisoned by the hyperspace. The Lu Yun from the flowing cloud space? Lu Yin nodded. "Which Lu Yun is there?" Master Wei's character portrait has been posted on the public account. Everyone can search for author Scattered Drifting Wind on the WeChat public account. You will see it after you follow him. Also, the public account will soon release the trailer for Star Stepping. Thank you for your support, brothers. Thank you. Chapter 2709. Mu Jun stared blankly at Lu Yin, suspecting that she had misheard. She mocked, "Do you think I'll believe you? Lu Yun has been imprisoned by hyperspace and is being experimented on. How could you bring him here? How could you bring Lu Yun here from hyperspace? Impossible." Lu Yin praised, "Looks like you three sovereigns have a good relationship with hyperspace. Since you're so sure, you should know how hyperspace treated Lu Yun." Mu Jun did not deny it. Lu Yin clasped his hands behind his back and walked up to Mu Jun. He looked at her tired face. "That's right. Normally, Lu Yun wouldn't have been rescued, but similarly, you shouldn't have been captured either. But aren't you still here? Do you want me to call Lu Yun over to meet you? Get to know him?" Lu Yin waved his hand and the death energy above his head dispersed. Mu Jun looked outside and was stunned. "It's really Lu Yun? How did you do it?" Lu Yin looked deeply at Mu Jun. "The more shocked you are, the more you know about hyperspace. Is it because you're working with Hiran? Don't you know?" Mu Jun's tone was dejected. She realized that Lu Yin's methods were becoming more and more unfathomable. If he had really brought Lu Yun here, then that meant that even hyperspace could not stop him. Lu Yin shook his head and smiled. "But why did I hear that you're working with the Shaoyin divinity to deal with Hiran and Wei Zhu?" Mu Jun's expression changed and she stared at Lu Yin, her eyes flashing. What did you say?" Lu Yin approached Mu Jun. "Aren't you working with the Yu family?" Mu Jun looked like she had been struck by lightning, and she looked at Lu Yin with indescribable shock. "How did you know? How did you know? Who told you? Only Luo Shan and I know about this. How did you know? How did you find out?" Mu Jun asked like a madwoman. This was their biggest secret. On the surface they were working with Hiran, but in reality they were working with the Yu family and the Shaoyin divinity to deal with Wei Zhu. If this matter was exposed, it would be a huge blow to them and the Six Powers would not tolerate them. It was not because they were working with Wei, but because they were working with the Yu family. No one could tolerate this. Today they could work with the Yu family to deal with Wei Zhu and overthrow hyperspace. Tomorrow they could work with others to overthrow Wei. Moreover, on the surface they were still cooperating with Hiran, which was equivalent to double dealing. Who would dare work with them? Mu Jun stared at Lu Yin. How did this person know? No one should have known about it. Lu Yin's lips curled up. "Do you think I was just joking when I said that I would deal with the three of you? I already know everything about you. Once this matter is reported to Master Wei, who in the Six Directions Guild will still be friends with you three sovereigns. How are you going to establish yourselves in the Six Directions Summit? He's just a villain. What do you want?" Mu Jun's face was pale. Lu Yin looked down at her from above. His gaze was filled with pity and mockery. "I'm very curious. Now that you're already a prisoner, why are you thinking so much? That's Luo Shan's business. Even if it's exposed, he'll be the unlucky one. It has nothing to do with you. Mu Jun, are you the kind of person who would die for Luo Shan?" Mu Jun's eyes flickered as he stared at Lu Yin. "Think about it carefully. I already have this information and I can kill Luo Shan at any time. As for you, think carefully about whether you want to be buried with him or something else. I'll give you time, but there's not much time left. Don't hold on to any other hopes. Do you really think that Luo Shan and the rest can succeed with me who has this information?" Mu Jun did not know about Luo Shan. She had already made a move against Master Wei but had failed. From what she knew, if the Shaoyin divinity Luo Shan and the Yu family teamed up, Wei Zhu would not be able to win. They could control everything within spacetime without affecting their own bodies. Now that Lu Yin knew about this plan would not succeed. As long as Luo Shan doesn't make a move, you have no proof. Mu Jun shouted. Lu Yin smiled. But Luo Shan doesn't know that he's been exposed. Mu Jun's eyes narrowed. That's right, Luo Shan doesn't know. This person could expose him when Luo Shan makes a move. As long as Master Wei is on guard, he won't succeed. Maybe I can help Master Wei. In the name of the Genesis space, it shouldn't be difficult to ask Master Wei to help me deal with an enemy who was scheming against him. Mu Jun, after Luo Shan is dealt with, you'll be next. Lu Yin left. Mu Jun's thoughts were in a mess as she watched him leave. She didn't know what to do, but this kid's words made sense. He knew their greatest secret, and if he were to plot against them, Luo Shan would definitely lose. What should she do? What should she do? Lu Yin didn't care about what Mu Jun was thinking. He just wanted to force this woman to not have any illusions. This woman was very selfish, and the more selfish a person was, the more they would think for themselves. If Luo Shan was definitely going to be defeated, she would think of a way out for herself, and this way out would have to have enough value. There was no rush. He would let her think about it slowly. She couldn't escape from his grasp. People had to be forced one step at a time. In the drifting cloud space, Qiu Zhan had already finished his investigation and was reporting back to Master Wei. Master Wei listened quietly, his gaze cold. Selling demi-humans? How dare she? Qiu Zhan was furious. This woman is too vicious. I didn't think that there would be such a thing. Please punish me, my lord. Master Wei coldly said, she's already dead. What's the point of punishing you? Who made the deal with her? Zhou Chamber of Commerce, Qiu Zhan replied. Master Wei grunted. This Zhou Chamber of Commerce could no longer exist. The drifting cloud space was his private property. Everything inside, including the demi-humans, belonged to him. That woman had dared to sell them and had already violated his taboo. This Zhou Chamber of Commerce also dared to buy them, which was unforgivable. Suddenly, Master Wei's expression changed and he looked in a direction. Outside the feed technique, there was a figure who was standing far away and bowing to Master Wei. Master Wei walked out and arrived in front of that person. Yixing Yinhua greets Master Wei. It was a man with a calm expression. He looked rather old. Master Wei was surprised. You're from Yixing? Why are you looking for me? Yinhua bowed. Someone from Yixing died here. I'm here to investigate. Master Wei was puzzled. How did someone from Yixing die here? Who is it? His name is Zhu Yi, Yinhua said. Master Wei's gaze turned cold. Behind him, Qiu Zhan arrived and exclaimed, Zhu Yi? That Zhou Chamber of Commerce's young master? He's from Yixing? Yinhua looked at Qiu Zhan and nodded. This person just joined Yixing a few days ago. I'm his guide. It seems like Senior knows the cause of Zhu Ye's death. Qiu Zhan looked at Master Wei. Yinhua also looked at Master Wei. Master Wei nodded. Qiu Zhan recounted the incident. Yinhua was calm from start to end. When Qiu Zhan finished, he said, Lu Yun. He doesn't have the ability to kill Zhu Yi. Zhu Yi is protected by Yixing's treasure. Normal experts won't be able to touch him. Master Wei's heart skipped a beat. Zhu Yi already has a rare treasure? Yinhua said respectfully, yes, he already has one. Master Wei's expression turned serious. He knew how powerful Yixing's rare treasure was. Although it didn't have the ability to attack, it could travel through space. Normal people wouldn't be able to touch it. It was the same for extreme experts. If the Sixth Direction Association had 10 extreme experts, there wouldn't be more than 3 of them who could touch Zhu Yi. This was serious. If it was just Lu Yun and someone who used the black energy source, Master Wei wouldn't mind. However, if someone who could kill Zhu Yi made a move, it would be completely different. Commander Qiu Zhan, can I go and take a look? Yinhua asked. Qiu Zhan looked at Master Wei. Master Wei didn't object. Please. Yinhua was grateful and followed Qiu Zhan to the bearer. Soon Yinhua left. If Master Wei couldn't see anything, he naturally couldn't. After Yinhua left, Qiu Zhan came behind Master Wei. I didn't expect Zhu Yi to join Yixing. Rumor has it that Yixing is from the lost race. Master Wei said indifferently, seal off Yixing. He paused for a moment. Don't touch Zhu Clan's merchant association. Take it as giving Yixing some face. Qiu Zhan nodded. Master Wei looked at the bearer. Could it really be someone from the eternal race? Otherwise, why would such an expert appear out of nowhere? The incident in the drifting cloud space didn't spread. After Lu Yin returned to the void god space, the first person he investigated was Yixing. There was a lot of information in the Heaven's Mirror Manor. Naturally, there was information about Yixing. A few days later, Lu Yin stood on top of the clock tower and looked into the distance. He was deep in thought. This incident might really bring some trouble to Master Wei. Yixing was actually a merchant association that spanned across the 6 direction societies, including the 62 merchant associations in the parallel universes. However, this merchant association did not operate or sell anything. They only did one thing: exchange. Yixing's only purpose was to exchange the various parallel universes' resources for trade, such as star crystals and star essence from the reincarnation spacetime, ultra crystals from the hyperspace spacetime, Hui crystals from the 3 monarch spacetime, and so on. Actually, many companies were doing this, but Yixing was the only one who had done it on a large scale and was recognized by all the parallel universes. Yixing's exchanges were genuine and they had never made any mistakes. They had their own method of exchange and they were always door-to-door services that would never annoy anyone. Yixing's exchanges were naturally not free. They charged a 1,000th of the transaction fee. 1,000th of the transaction fee might not seem like much, but anything that could get Yixing to make an exchange was not a small sum. It was at least in the tens of millions or even hundreds of millions. Yixing was famous in the Six Direction societies for its efficiency and fairness. Their method of ensuring efficiency was to ensure that every member of Yixing carried a huge amount of resources with them. This ensured that no matter when or where, as long as someone wanted to exchange resources with Yixing, Yixing's members would be able to arrive as quickly as possible. Thus, every member of Yixing who traveled through the universe was known as a walking money bag. Their method of protection was the eye, which was Yixing's symbol. Even if someone wanted to rob Yixing's members, they would not be able to do so. Even if they could, they would not bother to act against such people. When Lu Yin saw this information, the first thing that came to his mind was Zhu Ye's cosmic ring. How could he have forgotten about that? He should have ransacked it. There were not many people in Yixing's universe and every one of them had a huge amount of resources. Thank you for your support, brothers. Today is Qingming Festival and I'll be updating at 2 p.m. Thank you. Chapter 27:10. If Zhu Yi could join Yixing, it was no wonder that he was so arrogant. This meant that Zhu Ye's Chamber of Commerce would soar by leaps and bounds, and no one would dare to do anything to the Zhu Ye's Chamber of Commerce. As for Yixing's boss, there were no records. Legends said that he was from the Lost Clan or the Reincarnation Spacetime Venerated Lotus. There were even rumors that he didn't belong to the Six Paths Association and was a powerful rogue cultivator. There were too many legends, and the more there were, the more mysterious and powerful Yixing was. Lu Yin destroyed Zhu Ye's eye that Yixing had given him. He realized that he couldn't trap that eye no matter what he did, even if he placed it in his cosmic ring. The slightest carelessness would cause it to slip away. He didn't want Yixing to find trouble with him, so he had no choice but to destroy it. As for Yixing, Lu Yin had set his sights on him. After all, he was a walking money bag and what he lacked the most was money. Behind Lu Yin, Ning Ran arrived. Acting potentate, you were looking for me? Did Qingfen say anything? Lu Yin asked. Ning Ran shook her head. No, we haven't interrogated him yet. Lu Yin said, don't worry about him. The best way to interrogate him isn't physical torture but time. He won't be able to take it. Ning Ran frowned. Although the acting potentate's words made sense, the physical torture hadn't even begun yet. At the very least, they would have to go through the entire process. But since the acting potentate had said so, she didn't dare to make a decision on her own. How big do you think this universe is? Lu Yin suddenly asked. Ning Ran was surprised and thought for a moment. Infinitely big. Are there other existences besides the Six Paths Association? Lu Yin asked again. Sounded like he was asking Ning Ran, but it also sounded like he was talking to himself. Ning Ran replied, there definitely are. Parallel spacetime continuums are constantly being discovered. Perhaps one day we'll discover a colossus comparable to the Six Paths Association. Lu Yin took a deep breath. That was right. Perhaps one day such a colossus would appear. No one could say for sure. At the very least, Jiang Qingyue and Jiang Chen's father, the Lightning Lord, was a terrifying existence. Even a progenitor like the dragon turtle called him Old Master. Who knew what other powerhouses existed there? All right, you can leave. Lu Yin smiled. I was just thinking. Ning Ran nodded and left. In the following period of time, Lu Yin had a rare moment of peace. He would not approach Chen Lu, as the closer he got to Chen Lu, the easier it would be for him to be targeted by the Vader. Now that the Vader suspected that Lu Yin was a spy, Lu Yin had achieved his goal. There would be a day when the truth would be revealed. He hoped that that day would come after he joined the Six Direction Association in the primordial space. On this day, Su Wuji made a rare visit to the Red Domain and he sought out Lu Yin. The Lost Clan's first 3 fragments are about to arrive. Are you interested in taking a look? Lu Yin had spent most of his time in the Red Domain and had very little contact with the outside world. He had been cultivating the cosmic art in an attempt to break through, and this was the first time he had heard of the upper 3 sections. Su Wuji was surprised. Everyone outside is talking about it. Oh right, you just joined the Six Directions Society not long ago. It's normal that you don't know. Lu Yin was surprised. Lost clan cards can only be found if they are destroyed. Can they be exchanged? Su Wuji raised 2 fingers and said, you have 2 chances to change your card. One is to break through your cultivation level. Think about it. Cards are not people. They can't be cultivated. They also have limits. For example, the limit of the ancient card is the Void Transformation Realm. Once a person breaks through to the Void Transformation Realm, using an ancient card to fight would be suicide. It would not be able to trap the enemy, so you can apply to the Lost Clan to exchange cards in that situation. The second situation is the Upper 3 Festival. In the words of the Lost Clan, that day is the day their ancestor showed mercy. All the cards in the Lost Clan will descend in a strange form. As long as you have the ability and opportunity, the cards will take a liking to you and exchange them. Lu Yin did not expect such a festival to exist. Festivals were very important to humans. Regardless of whether it was a normal person or a cultivator, as long as they had feelings, they would not lack festivals. I remember that you have a 7-star hidden mountain card. I heard that you obtained it when you competed with Jiang Xiaodao in the 6 Direction Training Hall. It is the only 7-star card in the 6 Direction Training Hall. Unfortunately, it is only an ancient card. How about it? Do you want to exchange it for an ancient card? Su Wuji asked with interest. Lu Yin shook his head. My cultivation is here. With my cultivation, this 7-star hidden mountain card is the best. There is no point in exchanging it. Su Wuji said, normally that is the case. However, you have to consider this carefully. You are not from the Lost Clan and have no chance to exchange cards. Even if you reach the Void Transformation Realm, it will be difficult for you to exchange cards with the Lost Clan. The first situation is only for the Lost Clan. If you miss the Upper 3 Festival, you can either convince the Lost Clan to let you exchange cards. Of course, the possibility of this is very low. Otherwise, you can wait for the next Upper 3 Festival. How long do I have to wait for the next Upper 3 Festival? Lu Yin asked. Su Wuji said, it depends on how the Lost Clan arranges time. I don't know, but it will take at least 1,000 years. 1,000 years was not a long time for a cultivator, but how long had it been since Lu Yin started cultivating? Under normal circumstances, 1,000 years would be enough for him to reach the progenitor realm. Su Wuji saw that Lu Yin was deep in thought and said, I mean at least 1,000 years. Sometimes, if there are unforeseen events, 10,000 years is also possible. No one can say for sure. If you are regretting the 7-star hidden mountain card, then I advise you to exchange cards. With the strength of the enemies you are facing now, the 7-star hidden mountain card will not be of much help to you. It is meaningless to have a 7-star card. Moreover, this time, you might be able to exchange for a 7-star ancient card or even a 7-star archaic card. The reason why exchanging cards for the Upper 3 Festival attracts so much attention is because no one knows what kind of card they will be able to exchange for on that day. It is said that there was once a person who exchanged a seasonal card for an archaic card, which shocked the 6 Direction Society. From that moment on, the 6 Direction Society began to pay attention to the Upper 3 Festival. There should be many people going this time. Some of them are from the older generation waiting for the Upper 3 Festival to open, some of them are from the younger generation, and some are even younger. In short, it will be very lively. Lu Yin was puzzled. Master, you seem to want me to exchange cards. Su Wuji rolled his eyes. Why would I want you to do that? That is your business. However, if you go, help me bring something to someone from the Lost Clan. Consider it a favor. What is it? Lu Yin was curious. Su Wuji pushed the everlasting mirror. Are you going or not? If you want my help, I will go, Lu Yin said. Su Wuji was speechless. Helping is just a matter of convenience. The main thing is that you are exchanging cards yourself. Why, are you trying to force a favor? Lu Yin smiled. That is not impossible. He was actually more worried that his disguise would be seen through by the powerhouses of the Lost Clan. However, he had been in the Void God spacetime for so long and had Su Wuwei as his guide. Even if the Lost Clan saw through his disguise, they would not care. If they could see through his disguise, then Su Wuwei could see through it even more. Su Wuwei would not care. There were too many people in disguise in the universe. Su Wuji sneered and patted Lu Yin's shoulder. Kid, you are quite calculating. Pa Senior, what is it and who should I bring it to? You want to go? Go for myself. After all, the 7-star hidden mountain card is not enough. That's right. Su Wuji took out a box from his cosmic ring and solemnly handed it to Lu Yin. Do not open it. You must personally hand it to Xiaofang. Lu Yin took it in a daze. The box was not heavy, but what he cared about was not the box, but the person that Su Wuji was talking about. Xiaofang? Su Wuji nodded. Xiaofang, you will know once you ask the Lost Clan. Hand it to her personally and do not let anyone pass it to her. If you do not see Xiaofang, bring the box back unopened. Do not let anyone touch it and do not let anyone see it. Remember, you must remember. Lu Yin nodded, but he was still uncertain. Master, the Lost Clan is not to be trifled with. You won't harm me, right? Su Wuji shouted. What nonsense are you talking about? How could I harm you? Lu Yin probed. Then let me see what is in the box. Su Wuji snatched the box and glared at Lu Yin. No, you can't see it. Lu Yin pursed his lips, feeling even more uncertain. Could it be some lost treasure of the Lost Clan? Would anything happen to him if he took it? Su Wuji's eyes flickered. Forget it, I don't need your help. I will take it myself. I really don't know what you are worried about. Why can't I go myself? Although he said this, Su Wuji did not intend to leave. It was obvious that he was still hesitating. Lu Yin sighed. Senior, give me the box. I will help you pass it to Xiaofang. Su Wuji looked at Lu Yin suspiciously. You cannot open it. Lu Yin nodded. I will not open it. I swear. Lu Yin's face twitched and he reluctantly swore. Senior also has to swear that you will not harm me. Su Wuji happily swore. Are you relieved now? Lu Yin put the box away. Senior, who is this Xiaofang? Su Wuji said. You will know when you get there. Su Wuji still seemed uneasy, but after thinking about it he did not dwell on it. When you reach the Lost Clan, don't be stubborn on the day of the upper 3 sections. Think of all sorts of ways to attract the cards. Remember, the cards are not found by yourself, they are attracted to you. You will not be able to find them by yourself and no one will be able to find them. Lu Yin was curious. Attract? Su Wuji said seriously. In the words of the Lost Clan, every card represents a person's heart. This is because the card can be used to set up a killing trap, and what it bears witness to is a person's heart. Therefore, the method to attract a card also depends on the person. It does not mean that a powerful card will be attracted to a strong person. Otherwise, the person who used the time token card would not have been able to obtain the archaic card. You must. He paused as if he did not know how to continue. After thinking about it, Su Wuji looked at Lu Yin. Let go of yourself. Lu Yin blinked. Let go of myself? Su Wuji nodded. For a card to be attracted, it must see the real you and let go of yourself. Only then can you attract the most suitable card for yourself. Many people are unable to do this and in the end they do not get anything. Most people will not be able to get a card during the upper 3 sections. Specifically, only 1 out of 100 people will be able to get one. I hope that you will be that person. Chapter 27:11. How do I let myself go? Senior, you seem to know a lot. Lu Yin praised. He thought of Xiaofang, who was from the Lost Clan. Could Su Wuji's understanding of the Lost Clan have come from her? Su Wuji was annoyed. Don't interrupt. Listen to me. I'll give you a few examples. There was once a person who sang during the upper 3 sections. His voice was terrible, really terrible, but he still managed to change his card. There was also someone who spent a lot of time memorizing an essay that he had written, and he also managed to change his card. There was even someone who tried to court someone that day and he actually succeeded. Do you know how he did that? Su Wuji's face twitched when he saw Lu Yin's puzzled expression. He showed off his muscles. Lu Yin's eyes widened. What? He showed off his muscles to attract girls, and there were some who were blind enough to be attracted. A card then flew over and he succeeded. Lu Yin was speechless. There was such a thing. Cards also like this kind of thing? There were people who imitated animals on that day. There were people who cultivated on that day. There were also people who talked about how they had schemed against others over the years. That person succeeded in changing his card, but he was hunted down. Everyone who had been schemed against formed an alliance to hunt him down. In any case, you have to let yourself go and express yourself. The more you do it, the better. Don't bother with the nonsense that the Lost Clan spouted. In my opinion, those cards are just cheap. They like to see people humiliate themselves. Think about it. He then left. Lu Yin stared blankly at Su Wuji's back and asked, Senior, do you have a card? Su Wuji almost fell over, but he didn't say anything and quickly disappeared. Lu Yin understood. He must have been one of those people. Interesting. Go to the Hexagon training grounds and meet there. Su Wuji's voice rang out. Lu Yin took a deep breath. He had never been to the Lost Clan before and it was time to take a look. He left as soon as he said so. He couldn't go directly to the Hexagon training grounds, so he asked someone to contact Su Xianyin and have him bring him there. Su Ji and Su Yu also wanted to participate in the upper 3 sections. Su Xianyin was very happy to see Lu Yin as he truly treated Lu Yin as family. Lu Yin didn't forget about him. Senior, when are we going to the endless battlefield? Su Xiang smiled sinisterly. Lu Yin replied, inform me before you leave and I'll send you off. Su Xianyin nodded. It's good that you have the heart. We'll talk about it when the time comes. As the two chatted, Su Xianyin brought Lu Yin to the Hexagon training hall. It had been almost 3 years since he had left, and he didn't know how Wendy Yushan and the others were doing. There should be many new faces in the 6 Direction training hall. Lu Yin knew that many people had joined the 6 Direction training rites, but he hadn't expected so many. Currently, there were at least several 100,000 people in the Hexagon dojo. They came from the Hexagon Society's civilization, and there were also people from other parallel universes. Su Xianyin introduced them to Lu Yin. As for the Lost Clan, they would naturally gather at the Lost Dao Academy. Su Xianyin sent Lu Yin to the entrance of the Lost Dao Academy before leaving. Lu Yin entered the Lost Dao Academy. When he had first arrived, there hadn't been many people here and everyone had been checking in. Now, however, he could see people everywhere and he had heard news of the previous 3 sections. Xianxia? Someone exclaimed. Lu Yin looked over and smiled. It was Zhang Xiaodao. Zhang Xiaodao glared at Lu Yin. What? Are you going to the Lost Dao Academy to participate in the previous 3 sections? You too? Lu Yin asked. You got the 7-star hidden mountain card and you still want to exchange it? Be careful that you don't end up with a 1-star seasonal card. Zhang Xiaodao cursed through gritted teeth. He was very jealous. Lu Yin shrugged. What's mine is mine. No one can take it away from me. Zhang Xiaodao clenched his fists. Let's compete again. You can't beat me this time. Exchanging cards in the previous 3 sections isn't like searching for cards. It depends on one's charisma. I'm obviously more handsome than you. Behind him, a group of people praised and flattered Zhang Xiaodao. They were all from the reincarnation spacetime. Lu Yin thought of Ling Kei, who had specially formed a support group and was quite professional. Hey Zhang Xiaodao, didn't you see us? Su Yu was unhappy and shouted. Zhang Xiaodao smiled. I saw you. I greeted you. Su Yu rolled her eyes. That's more like it. They had a good relationship. Su Yu had helped Zhang Xiaodao snatch a star ball, but Lu Yin had ruined it. Su Ji was puzzled. Zhang Xiaodao, why aren't you in the reincarnation spacetime? Why are you here? Zhang Xiaodao laughed. Of course I'm here to see my brothers and sisters. I think you've met someone you're afraid of. Su Yu exposed him mercilessly. Zhang Xiaodao's face twitched. Xia, you've learned bad things from Xianxia. By the way, I heard that there are some hidden rules. Su Yu was furious. Zhang Xiaodao, you're courting death. She chased after him. Brother Xianxia, you're here too. Luo Zong greeted Lu Yin warmly. Lu Yin replied politely, you're going to the previous 3 sections too? Luo Zong said, yes, it's rare for outsiders like us to exchange cards. But Brother Xianxia, you have a 7-star hidden mountain card. Are you willing to part with it? Lu Yin shrugged. I can't help it. The further I go, the harder it'll be. I also hope that it's a 7-star ancient card. Luo Zong smiled. Yes, it's a pity. Shihong and Mu Duo arrived shortly after. Shihong had joined the Lost Dao Academy at a later stage while Mu Duo had joined from the very beginning. Both of them had succeeded and bowed when they saw Lu Yin. Lu Yin's current position in the hyperspace dimension was not something they could compare to. He was the Hyperspace Dimension Academy head and could see Bai Qian at any time. His position was even higher than the members of the Hyperspace Dimension Academy. Where's He Shu? Lu Yin asked. Shihong and Mu Duo did not know. Luo Zhang's gaze turned cold. He Shu is dead. Lu Yin was astonished. He Shu is dead. He really did not know as he had never paid attention to He Shu. Luo Zong sighed. We just found out that He Shu was killed by Xia Wu. He's a beast that can't be tamed. He actually killed his master. Lu Yin did not expect Xia Wu to kill He Shu. It seemed that he had been preparing for this for a long time. What about Xia Wu? Shi Hong replied, he's missing. Many people have searched for him but they couldn't find him. Lu Yin nodded and did not ask any more questions. Not many people knew about his relationship with Xia Wu, but Bai Qian and the other officials knew about it. It was very easy for them to hide someone. Xia Wu would not have a future, but living a normal life was not a bad thing. Luo Zhang's voice was cold. Don't let me find that beast. Otherwise I'll make him beg for death. Is that someone from the primordial space? Su Yu was astonished. Everyone looked over and saw Wendy Yushan slowly walking over. She looked valiant and formidable, and Luo Zhang and Jiang Xiaodao's eyes lit up. Although many people had been dissatisfied with their identities in the primordial space, Wendy Yushan, Zhou Day Night and Ling Gong's beauty had attracted many suitors, especially Wendy Yushan. Her unique temperament had made her a goddess in many people's hearts. Even people like Jiang Xiaodao and Luo Zhang were tempted. Wendy Yushan was very similar to Bai Qian to a certain extent. They were both valiant and beautiful, and even the weapons they used were the same. Lu Yin watched as Wendy Yushan walked past without greeting anyone. He sighed inwardly as he had made the right choice in bringing them here. Wendy Yushan was already a peak in lighter. If she was already like this, then what about Ling Gong and the others? Would they break through to become emissaries? And if they did, how did they do it? Did they return to the primordial space? Just as he thought about Ling Gong arrived. When Su Yu saw Ling Gong, she immediately attacked. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Ling Gong looked up and swept out with his spear. With a whoosh, Su Yu's void spirit power was pushed aside. Su Yu was shocked. How could this be? Lu Yin's eyes trembled. Ling Gong had indeed become an emissary. Ling Gong was one of the Fifth Mainland's 10 arbiters, a peak powerhouse of their generation. If not for the time poison, they would have become emissaries long ago. When they had been in lighters, they had been able to challenge emissaries above their realms. Only now could they truly display the terrifying might of the 10 arbiters. Su Yu was also improving, but she was still much slower than Ling Gong. Ling Gong had undergone a qualitative change. When the two of them had fought before, Ling Gong had used all of his strength to win. But now Su Yu had been easily suppressed. The void spirit power that she was so proud of could not suppress Ling Gong. Even if Su Yu's void spirit power was several times more powerful than Ling Gong's astral source, she still could not suppress Ling Gong. Following the appearance of the void spirit, the blue phoenix soared. Ling Gong used his innate gift once again, and the sky palace suppressed the blue phoenix. Su Yu continuously retreated, her face. Lu Yin was not surprised, as this was one of the 10 arbiters. Back when he had wanted to reach the level of the 10 arbiters or even surpass them, he had put in a lot of effort. Even now, he still remembered his battle with Lan Si and Night King Zhenwu, as he had put his life on the line. Will you retreat? Su Ji stepped forward and attacked. No matter how unwilling Su Yu was, she could only retreat. She was not Ling Gong's opponent. Ling Gong looked at Su Ji, her eyes filled with battle intent. This was the opponent she wanted. Bang! The stonecutter stone disc suppressed Su Ji and swept across Heaven Palace. Ling Gong stabbed out with his spear like a dragon, and Su Ji stirred up his void spirit power, causing the wind and clouds to dance. In the end, Su Ji's void spirit power had the advantage. Su Ji's realm was higher than Ling Gong's, and his void spirit power suppressed Ling Gong to the point that he found it difficult to breathe. It was just like when he had fought Su Yu as an enlighter. Just as Lu Yin was about to stop this battle, another wave of void spirit power swept over from the distance, separating Ling Gong and Su Ji. This wave of void spirit power exerted an extremely heavy pressure, and it came from someone at the peak of the void realm. Everyone looked into the distance as Su Lai walked over, step by step, with a cold expression. You are not from the Sixth Direction Training Rites, Su Lai said in a cold tone. The area was already surrounded by people from the Lost Dao Academy, and they were all watching excitedly. This kind of battle was not something that they often got to see. Su Ji said, I am Su Ji and I studied at the Sixth Direction Training Rites. Su Lai looked at him. I know you, Su Ji, from the Heaven's Reflection Manor. However, you have already left the Sixth Direction Training Rites, so it is inappropriate for you to attack here. Ling Gong spoke up. I attacked first. Su Lai looked at Ling Gong. Are you from the Lost Dao Academy? Ling Gong replied, No. Go back to where you came from. Su Lai frowned. Ling Gong's gaze swept past Su Ji and Su Yu, and then she glanced at Lu Yin before leaving. She had come to see if Lu Yin had come, but she had not expected that this sudden battle would cause the two of them to be unable to even speak. Thank you for your support, brothers. Chapter 27:12. Hey, don't go. Let's fight again. Su Yu was unconvinced. She had lost after 3 years. Had she wasted those 3 years? Thinking of this, she looked at Lu Yin with a strange gaze. They had been following this guy for 3 years and their cultivation had been delayed. Su Chen said coldly, No need to shout. You're not her match. The gap between you and her will only grow larger. Su Ji looked at Su Lai. The gap between us will grow larger? Su Lai's gaze was solemn. My Void God spacetime is one of the 6 directional associations, and our cultivation is unique. Many people say that we can suppress our enemies with several times the power of a Void God. That's right, we can do it in the early stages, but... She paused and looked at Su Ji and Su Yu. Without this advantage, what advantage do we have against our enemies? Su Yu said, Our Void Gods have various characteristics and are endowed with various powers. We have battle techniques. What others have, we have. But have you considered the main point? Su Chen shouted. Su Yu was stunned. She thought back to her cultivation since she was young. It seemed that she had never focused on battle techniques. Never. In the Void God spacetime, they had always competed on the amount of Void God power they had. Their talent also depended on how much Void God power they could draw from their bodies. How many times? Or more than 10 times. The more they had, the more talented they were. After a long time, they had gotten used to cultivating Void God power and using it to suppress others. Su Ji's expression was solemn as he clenched his fists. Lu Yin was surprised. Su Lai could see it clearly just by coming to the 6th directional training hall. But Su Xianxia hadn't even seen it clearly. Su Lai's voice was low. Our Void God spacetime has Void Gods that can draw power several times greater than our own. Thus, no matter what kind of enemy we face, we have a great advantage in the early stages. However, once this advantage is overcome by the enemy, we will definitely be at a disadvantage, especially in the primordial space. She suddenly looked in a certain direction. There when Xianxia had arrived. He was cultured and elegant, and when he saw Su Chen looking at him, he bowed. Lu Yin had already noticed when Xianxia's arrival, but they couldn't greet him here. Su Yu, you're already a genius of the Void God universe, and Su Ji is even more of a genius who was received by Master Su. Have you ever thought of the reason why that person could fight against you? Su Lai seemed to have a deep feeling about it. You've already seen that person. He made up for the disadvantage of being suppressed by the Void God's power. Su Yu, you're already a genius of the Void God universe, and Su Ji is even more so, a genius who was received by Master Su. She had a complicated look in her eyes. I also went to the initial space and saw the breakthrough of the star emissary of the Spirit Palace. No wonder. So that's how it was. No wonder she felt so deeply about it. Ling Gong had once been one of the 10 arbiters and was known as someone who was difficult to surpass among her peers. She was the ruler of the younger generation, so her breakthrough should have caused a huge commotion. It was so big that even Su Lai was shocked. Lu Yin thought back to when he had broken through. That vast power had reached the cosmic tree realm and attracted the 4 Directions Libra's expeditionary army. Although Ling Gong was far from his own, that power had still been enough to shock Su Lai and even the 6th Direction training rites. Su Lai looked around seriously. Perhaps in the early stages the primordial space was at a disadvantage against us, but in the later stages they became stronger, especially when they broke through. Give her some more time and she might not necessarily lose to you, Su Ji. Su Ji suddenly looked up. What happened to her breakthrough? Everyone was curious. The 6th Direction training rites disgust, dissatisfaction and hostility toward the primordial space originated from the era of the Above Heaven sect. This ideology had not only brought hostility but also contempt, which made them look down on the primordial space. When they had gone to the primordial space to train, everyone's words still rang in their ears. Lu Yin also wondered what had happened to Strange Spirit Palace's emissary that had caused Su Lai, a genius, to change his attitude toward the primordial space. However, Su Lai didn't say anything in the end. He only said that people like Ling Gong would become stronger as time went on, and that the primordial space's cultivation method might be more suitable for survival in this universe. They had happily gathered to participate in the upper 3 sections of the Lost Clan, but when they arrived at the 6 direction training rites, everyone felt as if a basin of cold water had been poured over them. Ziyu in particular turned pale. Jiang Xiaodao ground his teeth. Is he that strong? He suddenly looked at Xianxia. Hey, let's compete. Didn't you break through as well? Lu Yin looked over and asked Su Lai, did you see this person break through? Su Lai shook her head. I only saw Ling Gong's breakthrough. This person. She looked at Xianxia. He's not simple either. Xianxia shrugged. Think twice before you act. You'll suffer a setback if you fight me. Jiang Xiaodao bristled. What arrogance. Come on. Xianxia smiled and turned to leave, waving with his back to everyone. There'll be a chance in the future. Don't run. Jiang Xiaodao was unhappy. Lu Yin's lips curled up. Were the 10 arbiters rising one by one? Once these people broke through, who could stop them? Lu Yin's battle with the 10 arbiters had been difficult enough for the 6 Direction Society to experience. The 10 arbiters were not the only ones in the Genesis space. There were also Neoverse, Qiushi, Tai Yishan, Yuhua Mavis, and the Dao children from the Above Heaven era. These people would eventually join the 6 Direction Society and step onto the biggest stage in the universe. Lu Yin realized that he was no longer of the same generation as them. Mu arrived and waited calmly. Saruzin had come with her. Mu was a genius from the wood spacetime and was very eye-catching, but she was not as eye-catching as Saruzin. That raised arm was eye-catching no matter how you looked at it. Many people in the 6 Direction Training Hall had never seen Saruzin before. Now that they saw him, it caused a lot of discussion. After waiting for a few days, Xi Bing appeared and took everyone to the Lost Clan spacetime. Why are you here? Jiang Xiaodao exclaimed as he stared at Xianxia, who had appeared out of nowhere. Xianxia smiled. I want to go too. Jiang Xiaodao was speechless. Then why did you hide before? Xianxia did not hold back. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to resist beating you up. Jiang Xiaodao was furious. Everyone looked on in amusement. Xi Bing shouted, okay, it's time to leave. So many people. Is there anyone who doesn't want to go? No one answered. Xi Bing glanced at everyone. Go. Soon he tore through the void with a group of people and headed to the Lost Clan spacetime. The Lost Clan spacetime was the only one Lu Yin had not set foot in, and he was very curious about it. The strength of the Lost Clan could be seen from the fact that they joined the 6 Direction Training Hall alone. This clan was very mysterious, and the power of the cards they used was also very unique. Many people in the 6 Direction Training Hall hoped to have a Lost Clan card, but it was uncertain whether they could get a card, and even if they got one, they might not be able to use it. The most mysterious legend about the Lost Clan was that this clan had cards that surpassed the realm of the Extreme Powerhouse. The Extreme Powerhouse was the Progenitor Realm, and the Progenitor Realm was the end of human cultivation. Even the great celestial venerables could be called the strongest extreme powerhouse, but they were still extreme powerhouses. However, the Lost Clan claimed to have ancient cards both internally and externally. The Lost Clan's ancient cards were divided into the Time card, Ancient card, and Archaic card. The Archaic card corresponded to the Progenitor Realm. As for the Ancient card, it was only heard of and no one had ever seen it. However, the Lost Clan still divided it into the Ancient card. All the Lost Clan members believed in the existence of the Ancient card, but no one could say what realm the Ancient card corresponded to. Soon, everyone arrived at the Lost Clan's starry sky under Xi Bing's lead. Looking around, the starry sky was the same. It was dark, deep, and endless. Xi Bing took a deep breath and smiled. This is the Lost Clan's starry sky. Take note, I will only say it once. Don't wander around in this starry sky and don't touch anything. You might encounter a trap at any time. Don't blame me if you die. Jiang Xiaodao was surprised. Encounter a trap at any time? Aren't traps only in the cards? Xi Bing frowned. Ignorant and incompetent. Jiang Xiaodao bared his teeth. To the Lost Clan, the card is our life. Would you experiment on your own body? Setting up a trap is not an imagination. It requires research, pondering, and even experimentation. Our clan will not do this in the cards. We will only set up traps in this vast starry sky. The planets, continents, meteorites, astrological signs, and even astral beasts can be set up anywhere. Therefore the Lost Clan is the place that the Eternal Clan is most unwilling to set foot in. Lu Yin raised his eyebrows. It seemed like someone had said this before and everyone seemed to be proud of it. Su Yu looked around. Why don't you dismantle the traps? Ji Bing smiled at Su Yu. Why should I dismantle them? The Lost Clan's competitions are all about traps. Whoever falls into a trap will be unlucky. If you have the ability you can see the traps in advance. Lu Yin said, doesn't this mean that there are countless traps in this starry sky? Ji Bing nodded and said proudly, countless. The Lost Clan has existed for many years, and we have been trying to set up traps in this starry sky for many years. Perhaps the traps you fell into came from the ancient people. As soon as he said this, everyone hurriedly moved closer to the center. They were very afraid. The Lost Clan's traps were famous throughout the universe and they did not want to try it. Ji Bing said a few words to show the Lost Clan's prestige. Then he led everyone in a certain direction. In the starry sky, no one spoke and looked around vigilantly. They did not encounter any traps until they saw a city in the starry sky. Jiang Xiaodao curled his lips. It's just to scare people. Ji Bing looked back and stared at Jiang Xiaodao. Then he waved his hand and his palm energy spread far away. Suddenly the starry sky collapsed as if it was being crushed by something. Countless sharp spikes emerged from the void, glowing with a cold light. Everyone was stunned. Lu Yin's gaze turned cold. This trap was not weak and it was enough to bury a cultivator with 6 origin tribulations. Jiang Xiaodao opened his mouth. There really is a trap. Ji Bing snorted and pointed ahead. Let's rest in that city for a few days and wait for a group of people to leave together. Is that the burial ruins? Mumu was surprised. Ji Bing said, at least you are not ignorant. What burial ruins? Isn't it a city? Lu Yin was puzzled. Mumu said, a card cannot bear the weight of a trap or a powerful enemy ambushed by a trap can tear the card apart and escape. In the end the enemy will still be buried and this enemy must be an extremely powerful person. This is called the burial ruins and this place is called the burial ruins. Chapter 27:13. Lu Yin looked at the city in the distance. It means that an extremely strong person was killed in that city. One of the 9 sages of reincarnation spacetime died in that city, Ji Bing said with his hands behind his back. Everyone was shocked. They did not know. Even Mumu did not know. She had only guessed it based on the city's strange shape. She did not expect to be right. She also did not expect that one of the 9 sages of reincarnation spacetime was buried in this city. Jiang Xiaodao's jaw dropped. This is a city? Ji Bing was amused. You're not too stupid. He was curious. Hey Jiang Xiaodao, what's going on? Jiang Xiaodao's expression turned ugly. A long time ago reincarnation spacetime first came into contact with the Lost Clan. Both sides fought. Reincarnation spacetime sent out 5 of the 9 sages and one of them died here. Because of this, the Lost Clan was accepted into the 6 Direction Association. Lu Yin looked at the city in the distance. The establishment of the 6 Direction Association was not smooth and there were wars. When Xianxia said, so the 3 venerables and 9 sages existed before the establishment of the 6 Direction Association? The 3 venerables and 9 sages. Jiang Xiaodao was about to answer when he suddenly realized that it was Wen Xianxia who asked this question. It's none of your business. Wen Xianxia did not care. The city was very lively. In Ji Bing's words, this city had an epoch-making significance to the Lost Clan. Of course Jiang Xiaodao rolled his eyes in response. This looked like a city but there were other cities outside it. A huge city lay across the starry sky. Although it was not comparable to a star, it was huge enough to accommodate billions of people. Through Suji, Mumu and the others as well as the memories of some people that Lu Yin had absorbed, he knew that the Lost Clan did not have a large population. Most of them were from the outer realm. The Lost Clan was xenophobic and did not allow outsiders to enter the core area. Moreover, the Lost Clan did not allow outsiders to marry as they wanted to maintain the purity of the clan's bloodline. Jiang Xiaodao sneered again. When they came to the city they heard many people talking about the upper 3 sections. Among them, the older generation experts would go to the core area of the Lost Clan to participate in the upper 3 sections. There was no age limit for this festival and everyone could participate. Of course, there were also people who had scruples. After all, exchanging cards was not very respectful to the Lost Clan. Previously, Jiang Xiaodao had only said that the card was not good, which had caused Ji Xiao to be dissatisfied. If they went to exchange cards, it was very likely that the older generation of the Lost Clan would be displeased. Everyone had their own ideas. Lu Yin's group also attracted quite a bit of attention. Su Ji, Mu Mu, and Luo Zong were all absolute geniuses of their own parallel universes, and they often appeared in the ears of others. Lu Yin was no exception. He had captured spies and traversed multiple parallel universes to carry out his mission, which made the name Xianxia resound like thunder. Didn't you say that not many people from outside the domain have cards? Why are there so many? When Sansi was puzzled, Su Yu said, they were accumulated over the years. Since the Lost Clan is one of the 6 direction associations, it is impossible for them to be isolated. They also need to communicate with the outside world, especially in the endless battlefield. The Lost Clan is not invincible. The friendships formed on the battlefield, the transactions and so on have been accumulated over the years. It's just that we don't usually see these people together. When Sansi smiled at Su Yu. Thank you. Xiao Yu, don't tell him. Jiang Xiaodao stopped her. When Sansi did not mind and looked around. Everyone had planned to split up after entering the city, but they were attracted by the noise at the city gate and gathered there. At the city gate, a sign was erected high. On it were the words, "Those who look at me are cowards." A muscular man was sitting under the sign. He stepped on the chair and crazily swept up the food on the table. He did not have any table manners. There were discussions all around. There were curses and insults, but no one went forward. The muscular man glanced around while eating. The contempt in his eyes was quite obvious, which made people angrier. This bastard has been here for a few days. The moment he arrived, he put up a sign and provoked others. He's asking for a beating. Did anyone go up and fight him? He doesn't fight. He just arm wrestles. If he loses, he's a coward. If he wins, he'll give you anything you want. Bullsh *T. If I want to become an extremely powerful expert, will he help me? Brother, you're quite talkative. Do you want to go up and give it a try? No hurry. Let me ask first. Has anyone challenged him? Yes. The result. His arm was crushed. So exaggerated? Not a single one was left out. All of them were crushed. That person immediately stepped back and lowered his head. The muscular man was disdainful. He kicked the sign high and spat. A bunch of trash. If you don't dare to go up, then get lost. Don't disturb me when I'm eating. Outside the crowd, Lu Yin and the others saw it. Jiang Xiaodao's face twitched. This foodie is here too? He came faster than me. You know him. Tiu was curious. Jiang Xiaodao rolled his eyes. The little food saint. He's the little food saint? That foodie? Tiu was surprised. Mumu was also surprised. He's the little food saint? Lu Yin looked at the muscular man. The little food saint? It reminded him of the culinary god of the starry sky tree. There were 3 saints in the reincarnation universe, and one of them was the culinary god. The culinary god had a son called the little food saint. He did not expect to see him here. The muscular man quickly finished the food in front of him. He grabbed the table and opened his mouth. He suddenly looked at Lu Yin and the others. Jiang Xiaodao, you coward. Do you think I can't see you hiding behind? As he spoke, he slammed the table over. Jiang Xiaodao was furious. Foodie, you're the coward. As he spoke, he smashed the table into pieces. The muscular man laughed wildly. I thought a trip to the 6 direction training hall would help you improve, but you're still so sissy. Tui. Jiang Xiaodao's eyes were bloodshot. He wanted to go up and beat this bastard up, but he held himself back. He couldn't win at all. He was now a level 2 celestial, but this glutton was a level 4 celestial. This foodie was older than him by a few decades, but in their minds they were of the same generation. Jiang Xiaodao panted heavily. Foodie, just you wait. I'll beat you to death sooner or later. The muscular man was disdainful. Sissy. As he spoke, he looked at Lu Yin, Suji and the others. Sissy will always stay with Sissy. Men should be lonely. A bunch of sissy. Tui. Lu Yin raised his brows. This guy was very jumpy. Suji frowned. When Sansi's smile disappeared. Luo Tsong was still smiling. Suyu walked out, but Suji pulled her back. Let me. As he spoke, he walked towards the muscular man. The muscular man's eyes lit up. Xiao Bai Face, I've seen you before. You're a genius from the Void God universe. But you can't do it. Go home and play with your children. Huh. Suji was calm. Arm wrestling. The muscular man sat down. In the void, the astral source was like a mirror. He placed his arm on the astral source and shouted, "Come." Suji did not stand on ceremony. He reached out and shook the muscular man's hand. "Xiao Bai Face, you'll regret this." The muscular man grinned. Suji's gaze was cold. "I hope your strength is worthy of your arrogance." "Ha, I suddenly find you pleasing to the eye." "Come." With a loud shout, the muscular man exerted his strength. The void trembled and visible ripples spread out, pushing the surrounding people away. Lu Yin and the others stepped forward to watch the competition. They did not know how strong the muscular man was, but Suji's strength should not be weak. He was not weak, but he had not used his full strength when fighting Ling Gong. In terms of realm and void god power, he far surpassed Ling Gong. In particular, his void god power was the heavenly martial stone disc, which was infinitely magnified. If he did not have some strength, how could he fight? Suyu was very confident in Suji. But the result shocked everyone. 3 breaths. In just 3 breaths, Suji had been defeated. There was no suspense. Suji's eyes flashed as he looked at his crushed arm. He had been defeated so quickly? Jiang Xiaodao was helpless. He was not surprised. In terms of strength, none of the 3 venerables or 9 saints could defeat the food saint. Among his peers, no one could defeat this foodie. When he first met Xiaozun, he had said that he could not win in terms of strength. Suji let go and his arm felt weak. The muscular man praised him. "Xiao Bai Face, you're not bad. You can last 3 breaths without your arm being crushed. That's rare. You're much stronger than that sissy Jiang Xiaodao." "Not bad." Suji stood up and looked deeply at the muscular man. "Thank you, little food saint." The muscular man laughed. "Suji, right? I approve of you." Then he looked at the others. "Is there anyone else who dares to step forward?" Jiang Xiaodao nudged Wen Sanxi. "Aren't you going to try?" Wen Sanxi was calm. "I'm a scholar." The muscular man sneered. "Coward." Wen Sanxi stared at the muscular man. "Your brain is better than your strength." The muscular man glared at him. "Then try to beat me with your brain. I'll use my strength. You can do whatever you want." Without hesitation, Wen Sanxi sat down opposite the muscular man. "I can do whatever I want." The muscular man sneered. "Whatever. Play however you want." Wen Sanxi reached out and shook the muscular man's hand. He frowned. He glanced at Lu Yin. He had only experienced this feeling of helplessness in the face of strength from Lu Yin. Right, Lu Yin was also a monster of strength. "Let's begin," the muscular man shouted. Wen Sanxi's gaze turned cold. Ancient golden characters flowed out from his arm and wrapped around the muscular man's wrist. This was the literary prison. Wen Sanxi used the literary prison to bind the muscular man's wrist, causing it to remain in this space. If the muscular man wanted to leave this space, he would have to shatter the literary prison. This meant that the muscular man not only had to surpass Wen Sanxi in terms of strength, but he also had to break the literary prison with his strength alone. The literary prison was Wen Sanxi's greatest strength when he became one of the 10 arbiters. Before the Star Tower contest, Wen Sanxi had not even revealed his other strength. Just this literary prison alone was enough to secure his position as one of the 10 arbiters. As Wen Sanxi became an emissary, his literary prison would only become stronger. Furthermore, it was not the Wen family's literary prison, but a strengthened 7-fold literary prison from the Memory Sage Academy in the Starry Sky Trees. This was the power of the progenitor of Wen. The literary prison wrapped around the muscular man's wrist as if he was wearing a golden bracelet. The muscular man frowned. "It's just a decoration. Ugly." As he spoke, he suddenly exerted force. In an instant, Wen Sanxi's eyes narrowed as his wrist was pressed down. He was unable to resist the literary prison. In terms of strength, he was far from being a match for the little carnivore saint. However, the little carnivore saint's wrist suddenly stopped as well. He was trapped by the literary prison and could not move. Jiang Xiaodao was excited. "Ha, foodie, you can't win. This guy can't beat you and you can't beat him either." Ha. Chapter 27:14. The little food saint looked at Wen Sanxi and licked his lips. "Kid, you are quite capable. What is this?" Wen Sanxi said, "Literary prison." The little food saint's lips curled up. Literary prison? You want to imprison my wrist? You really have guts. As he spoke, he increased his strength and the literary prison shattered. Jiang Xiaodao's smile had yet to disappear. It was useless so soon. The literary prison's shattering was within Wuxia's expectations. Immediately after, another layer of literary prison appeared, one layer after another. The 7 layers of literary prison were like 7 golden bracelets that bound the little food saint's wrist. At this moment, the little food saint was truly shocked. He had just broken through the first layer of literary prison and felt a huge resistance. Now there were 7 layers. Xiaobai, where are you from? The little food saint asked, looking at Wuxia as if he was looking at Suji. The difference was that Suji could hold on for 3 breaths of time with his own strength. Wuxia definitely could not hold on for 3 breaths of time, but he had the means to impress the little food saint. Wuxia looked up. Genesis space. The little food saint was surprised. You are from the Genesis space? Interesting. Ah, very interesting. As he laughed, the first layer of literary prison shattered, followed by the second, third and fourth layers. The literary prison existed in name only. Each layer could only hold Wuxia for a breath of time at most. The 7th layer of literary prison only lasted 7 breaths of time. Lu Yin could not help but take 2 steps forward and stare at the little food saint. His strength was really great. With the 7th layer of literary prison shattered, everyone thought that Wuxia would definitely lose. The 7th layer of literary prison could not help him hold on. Now that the literary prison was shattered, how could he hold on? However, the result surprised everyone once again. The expected scene did not happen. Wuxia actually held on. Not only that, but the little food saint's expression changed as if something unbelievable had happened. Wuxia suppressed the little food saint, causing his wrist to almost fall on the table formed by the stellar source. Just a little bit more and the tables would be turned. Everyone held their breaths and stared at the little food saint's wrist. Just a little bit more and he would lose. Just a little bit more. Jiang Xiaodao took a step forward and squatted on the ground, looking at the table excitedly. Hey, use more strength. If you win against this glutton, your name will be known in the reincarnation space. Mu Mu, Luozong and Suji all had solemn expressions. They did not expect such a scene to occur. The more they knew about the little food saint, the more they knew how powerful he was. How could such an unusual power be suppressed in an instant? That Wuxia didn't look like a strong person. Lu Yin's eyes narrowed. He hadn't expected Wuxia to be able to do this. How had he done it? Based on his understanding of Wuxia, even if he had broken through to become an emissary, he should not have this kind of strength. The little food saint's cultivation base was equivalent to the 4th tribulation origin realm, while Wuxia's cultivation base was only at the 1st tribulation origin realm. Both of them were gifted, so he did not believe that Wuxia could challenge the little food saint. On the other hand, if Wuxia's cultivation base was higher than the little food saint's, it would be difficult for the little food saint to challenge him. The little food saint was equivalent to the 10 arbiters and Suji was the same. But how could he explain the scene before him? The little saint of food had never looked so serious before. He looked at his wrist that almost touched the table and stared at Wuxia. Why didn't you win? Jiang Xiaodao was puzzled. Foodie, are you stupid? Are you deliberately letting him win? The little food saint ignored Jiang Xiaodao and stared at Wuxia. Wuxia chuckled. Using battle techniques is cheating. If I had won just now, it wouldn't be called smart but despicable. The surrounding people were puzzled. The little food saint smiled happily. He no longer looked at Wuxia with contempt but with approval. What's your name? Wuxia. I also approve of you, Wuxia. But there's only one chance. You didn't win just now, so it's impossible to win now. I'm already prepared. You made me unable to recognize my own strength in an instant. You misled my consciousness. The little food saint said excitedly, this is the first time I've encountered such an opponent. Interesting, very interesting. As expected of the origin space. Luozong and the rest were surprised. The little food saint misled his own strength? Lost his recognition of his own strength? What was this? Could be done? Lu Yin looked deeply at Wuxia. So this was his innate gift, shielding. The previous shielding was just a layer of light, an extremely sturdy one. During the Star Tower contest, Wuxia's innate gift had rendered many helpless and difficult to break through. Now this innate gift had changed. It was no longer an external force, but had evolved into a way to shield others from recognizing their own strength. Anyone who faced this innate gift for the first time would be at a loss and unable to react. The little food saint had just lost his recognition of his own strength and was instantly suppressed by Xianxia. This was Xianxia, one of the 10 arbiters. Xianxia. Although the previous 10 arbiters had been defeated by Lu Yin, they had never been weak. It was just that Lu Yin was too strong. In terms of talent and opportunities, Lu Yin was much stronger than them. If they were given the same opportunities, they might not be much weaker than Lu Yin. Mr. Mu had once praised obscuring light on the Golden Ocean Mountain. None of the 10 arbiters were simple. Xianxia suddenly stood up. Right, let's stop. The little food saint frowned. Let's continue. I haven't beaten you yet. Xianxia smiled. In terms of strength, I'm far from your match. I've just cultivated this ability and am not familiar with it. It's not good to expose it too early. The little food saint snorted. I just admired you and now you're hiding it. You humans are always like this. You like to hide the head and show the tail. Boring. Jiang Xiaodao was anxious. Hey, let's continue. If you beat this foodie, you'll be famous in the Six Directions Society. I'm not lying. You'll definitely be famous in the Six Directions Society. Xianxia looked at him. I'm from the Genesis space. Jiang Xiaodao paused. The Genesis space was a hurdle that could not be avoided. It seemed that being famous in the Six Directions Society was not a good choice. Luo Zong stepped forward and faced Xianxia. If you're willing, I can ask my father to accept you as a disciple and leave the Genesis space. Xianxia looked at Luo Zong. Lord Luo from the Three Monarchs universe? Mu said, you can also join my Wood universe. There are many outsiders who join the Six Directions Society. Xianxia is an outsider and does not belong to the Six Directions Society. Now that he has joined the Void God universe, he was once pursued by my Wood universe. The Void God universe welcomes you. Suji spoke and looked at Lu Yin. He wanted Lu Yin to say a few words. Xianxia was definitely a genius. He almost won the little food saint in terms of strength. No matter how he did it, he was still a genius. With a bang, the little food saint slammed his fist on the table formed by astral sources and stared at Xianxia. Come here and let my father accept you as a disciple. I admire you. Jiang Xiaodao felt strange. He did not expect things to turn out like this. It was clearly a competition of strength. This Xiaobai face was quite popular. Should he recruit a talent for his father? What a temptation. It's hard to refuse the invitation of the Six Directions Society. Xianxia was conflicted. I have to think twice. Mu said, what's there to be conflicted about? Just join. Luo Zong smiled. If you're worried about your family in the Genesis space, we can help you solve it. Xianxia was surprised. Can it be solved? I'm the Dao Master of the Genesis space, Lu Yin. I don't think it's that simple. I heard that even the Yuan Sage of the Reincarnation Universe can't solve it. Luo Zong was confident. You don't have to worry about this. Really? Xianxia looked at Lu Yin. Brother Xianxia, you're also an outsider. How are you doing after joining the Void God universe? Lu Yin thought about it. Very good. Xianxia nodded. Alright, I'll think about it. I'll definitely join one of the Six Directions Society. After all. He smiled. A fine bird chooses a tree to nest in. Smart. Lu Yin praised. Luo Zong wanted to say something to Xianxia, but suddenly, everyone looked behind him in surprise. Luo Zong looked back and saw Lu Yin sitting opposite the little food saint. Lu Yin raised his arm. It's my turn. The little saint of food looked at Lu Yin in surprise. He did not expect someone from this group to come and challenge him. Today is a good day. Jiang Xiaodao, a sissy like you doesn't deserve to stand with them. Jiang Xiaodao bared his teeth. You're the sissy. Your whole family is sissy. The little food saint did not mind. He stared at Lu Yin with a fierce gaze. Like Xianxia, you can use battle techniques. You can play however you want as long as you can win. Lu Yin smiled. Oh, I'm quite strong. Let's compete. This was the first time everyone knew Lu Yin. Competing with the little food saint in strength? Wasn't that courting death? Xianxia, he's really strong. Suji could not help but remind him not wanting anything to happen to Lu Yin. Although Suyu did not like Lu Yin at times, she was still worried after being with him for a long time. Jiang Xiaodao was even more surprised. Hey, don't look for trouble. Competing with him in strength, Suji's kind is better. A normal person's arm would be crushed. The little food saint looked at Lu Yin arrogantly. You can regret it. Lu Yin shrugged. It's embarrassing if I regret it. Even if I can't win, at least I won't lose too badly. Ha, you have guts. Alright, I'll fulfill your wish. I won't let you lose too badly. He grinned and licked his lips. Crush your wrist. With that, he reached out and shook Lu Yin's hand. At that moment, the little food saint's expression changed. He looked at Lu Yin with surprise and confusion. Over the years, he had arm wrestled with many people. Most of them were powerful people from the older generation, so he was already experienced. He could almost feel the strength of some people when they shook hands. For example, he could feel the strength of Suji and Xianxia. But this person? The little food saint stared at Lu Yin. Lu Yin smiled at him. Let's begin. As soon as he spoke, Jiang Xiaodao, who was closest to the two, was suddenly sent flying by an invisible force. He was pushed back by more than 10 steps. Not only him but Suji and the others around him could not react in time. It was as if they were swept by a gust of wind. The entire city shook and the ground cracked. With Lu Yin and the little food saint as the center, the force spread out in waves that could be seen with the naked eye. It exploded in an instant, causing the ground to shatter. Dust rose and covered the two. Who would have thought that a mere arm wrestling match would be as big as a war? It was so big that it was exaggerated.